Hi, good night, good night, good night. It's anniversary. It's 4 years. 4 years, you believe that? I can't believe it. It's actually 4 years that the Marcia Week show has been going strong for 4 years. Marcia Week's show going strong. Oh Lord, that's kind of corny, right? But it's been, 4 wonderful years, up and down. Sometimes, you say, what's the use? Especially when you're on and nobody's on. But I thank God that tonight I'm on and there are people on. And I want to take this opportunity to thank you all. Thank you all from the Marcia Week Show for tuning in every time that we're on. Oh, my Lord, 7 o'clock, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're on. And whenever we upload, there are people always watching something, whatever we upload. And we are so, so grateful to you for what you do for the Marcia Week Show. Thank everyone who works from behind the scenes to make it happen. Some people, I can mention their names, some I can't mention their names. But I want to thank, of course, my husband, Dave Weeks, for standing there and encouraging. Oh my lordy, Lisa Niles doing all those posters that you see there, and the other persons that we can't mention their names. Okay, there are people that we can't really mention their names. Okay, so we just want to thank you all, thank you all, thank you all for tuning in and making it a reality. And thanks to all the panelists that have come on in the last couple of months, not a full year yet, a couple of months now. We've had all these panelists coming on, Caswell Franklin, Kemar Stewart, Maxine McLean, Ferdinand Nichols, who doubles as a host and a panelist. Also, Rose Corbin, Glenn Murray. Oh my goodness, Heather Cole, who hosts for us sometimes and is a panelist. Everybody, we are so, so grateful to you all. Everybody who helped with the marches and who made the marches happen. Thank you so much. CG, everybody, all the donations to the marches, the Roadside Parliament. It's you. It's you. It's because of you why we're still going. It's all about you. And we say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for your love, for the appreciation, for all that you do. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you, those who are watching, those who shared. Like Queen B, we say thank you, Queen B. She says, good evening, loyal opposition. Fall in line. I've liked and shared. And that's what I tell you about you guys. You are the Marcia Week Show. It's all about you. Marching to victory. 800 likes, folks. Everyone like and share, please. Let's get TMWS going. Yes, everybody, this is your moment to like and share. And I'm so grateful that you come on. You come on every night. You make it happen. You like and you share and you send out this message. And what do we do on the Marcia Week Show? You've been experiencing it. We educate, we agitate, we mobilize, we motivate Africa and its diaspora. That's what we do on the show. Thank you so much, CG. Oh my goodness, how could we do the marches without you? We couldn't do the marches without you, CG. So thank you so very much, Jermaine. Thank you, team, Mr. Weeks, Madam Nice, Caswell, Beauty Queen, Miss McLean. Oh my God, everybody, we thank you. Oh, everybody, Miss McLean, thank you so much. Nigel Carrington is saying good night. Oh my Lord. Marcio Galvez. Oh goodness, Galvez, it's so great to see everybody. And there's a group of people who they don't miss the march. When you're not there, I feel it. And you're rarely not there. So I want to acknowledge you tonight, those of you who come out to the march all the time. And we do have a march coming up on this weekend, 10 o'clock, right there on REDMAN'S Drive. We're going to be where the lights are, right? Yes, Mr. Franklin was fantastic last night, as per usual. And Lynette as well. And just the entire team that put that on, we want to say thank you to them for just wanting to educate. Vernon Garnes, Lucinda Allen, good night, good night. We are marching on Saturday, Lucinda, but I'm here. Cecilia, hi Cecilia. Cecilia is one. Doesn't miss, she misses nothing. Anytime we get together, Cecilia is there. Cecilia and her friend. I don't know her friend's name. But Cecilia, I have good news for you tonight, but then not so good news. We are only having the march this weekend. I know I made a big announcement that we're going to have Roadside Parliament on Sunday, but we decided to not do it on Sunday. We're going to do it the last Sunday on the 30th, and just do one big roadside parliament on the 30th. Okay, put all the efforts in there on the 30th. So that's what we're doing. But for the next 2 weeks, of course, we're going to have our marches. We're not stopping that because that's so important. Yes, that is very, very important. So we're not going to stop that. Owen Hines, we're going to be at the march tomorrow on our Saturday, but no roadside parliament. We have a big one that we're going to announce to you. So see the flyers. I mean, it's going to be real powerful. And all the speakers that we have, etc. We're really working on it just in time. Good night. It's me. It's me. Good evening. Good evening. It's me. Had me laughing the other night. Heathcliff, how are you? Heathcliff, thank you for being so consistent. Heathcliff, Marcia, Sir Alfred, Benjamin. Oh my Lord, we couldn't do it without you all. Sir Alfred, I want you to message me 236 7000. I was on the phone with Heather today, and we were planning and thinking about how to make the New York trip possible. And if you want to help, if you're in New York and you want to assist in making that trip possible, us doing a Marcia Week show and a roadside parliament from New York, message me please 236 7000. 236 7000. Okay, if you want to make it possible. All right, Mystic Angel and Sandra Franklin. Hey Sandra, how are you? It's good to see you. Good to see you tonight. Oh my goodness. Anika Hope, how are you? Anika works round the clock on this show, trying to get it to outside of Barbados. Thank you, Jermaine. Thank you, Mystic Angel, Joy and Faith. Llewellyn Eiffel, trust you're feeling better, and we miss you at the marches. But don't come out until you feel much better. Marcia, how are you? Natasha Hope, oh Lord, thank you all. Thank you so much. Yes, yes, yes. We are not afraid. It's me. It's me. Judy, Judy, how are you, Judy? Good to see you. Jermaine, Caroline Cadogan, David. Oh, wonderful, David. Yes, we received that. Congratulations. Diana Husbands, how are you, Diana? Oh, Bajan boy, keeping good? Good to see you. ADG, good night. And you're happy to be here, and I'm happy to be here too. Oh, Emerson Bob. How are you? How are you from the UK? From the UK. ADG says congratulations. Anthony Oliver. Oh, wow. How are you? And Judith and Clark. Judith, I miss you from the marches, but I know you're very busy. I am hoping you can make the big roadside parliament. We're going to put up those flyers now. For the roadside parliament, we're going to get them up now, and you're going to see what we're going to be talking about at that last roadside parliament. Lemuel Tull, oh my Lord. Jermaine, I said hi to you already, but I read what you said. You said, thank you, team. Oh, we said it already. We read yours already. Pauline Maynard, good evening. Janine Butcher, good evening. Judith, I said Judith already. Jacqueline Allen and Marva Sobers. How are you all doing? It's so good. It's so very good to have you on tonight here on the Marcia Week show, where we educate, we agitate, we mobilize, we motivate Africa and the Africa, I'm sorry, and its diaspora. Now on the screen you're seeing the roadside parliament, and this is going to be big, guys. This is going to be big, and this is all on the 30th. This is going to be massive. We have Roger Husbands, and he is the director for the drug education and counseling services. and he talks real. He's gonna be, this is real talk. If you want real talk and real solutions, you come out to the Roadside Parliament. Come with your questions too, and come with your input. It's not a one-way street. Then we have Zico John, and Zico is an ex-gang leader. When I met him years ago, Zico was one of those who started a gang in Barbados, and I've seen his life change, turned around. And he's a motivational speaker now, and he's going to be speaking as well. And he said to me, Mrs. Weeks, I got my ears to the ground. So he's going to come to talk to us about what is actually going on. Then we have Reverend Paul Leacock, who's an author as well, and he works. That's what they do at their church. They work with young people who have gotten into trouble with the law, and so he's going to be with us at Roadside Parliament. And of course, from Trinidad and Tobago, he made sure today, he told me, you've got to add the Tobago to the flyer. Trinidad and Tobago. Here coming. We see he's walking from Trinidad here. Who is this? Senator David Naked, live and in the flesh, in person, not on any Zoom or StreamYard. He is taking a plane, y'all, and he is coming to Barbados. And so that's gonna be so powerful right there at Roadside Parliament, because they have it really tough in Trinidad, and he's coming just to share some stuff with us. So please, 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 we're gonna need your support. Need to come out. You can't let him come from Trinidad and we not out there in our numbers. What's wrong with that? No, we've got to be out there. Senator David Naked will be there from Trinidad and Tobago, and he is going to be addressing the growing concerns that we have as a public the increase in the guns on the street. And of course, I told you that our march is coming up this Saturday. This is our Freedom March, yes? And we're talking what kind of freedoms? We're talking about our freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Freedom of speech and freedom of expression, they're under attack. And so we're coming out again for our march, and we're going to educate. We're going to continue. We have 2 more marches in June, and we're going to do those marches. So far, really, we have 2 marches left and a Roadside Parliament. Okay, so write it down in your diary. No Roadside Parliament for this Saturday coming up. The Roadside Parliament is going to be for the 30th. So tell everybody, tell all your friends, and bring out the entire family. And these are some of our speakers. There's some others we're waiting on, but I think if we get 1 more, we should be good, right? And it's gonna be really, really, really great. Yes, very, very good. And so yes, Tyrone is saying we have to bring the whole world to this Roadside Parliament, but mostly to the marches. Bring out the whole world. I tell you, I love it. Well, we're bringing the whole world because Senator David Naked is traveling from Trinidad to be here. Yes, and Honorable Coretta McDonald told me, she says, as soon as I can make it, Marcia, I'll be there. Yes, 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 yes. So that is really, really wonderful. So we're going to ask you guys, when you see the posters, share. And I think I tell you all that I was able to appeal to Facebook, and as far as I know, I'm now back on Facebook. Can somebody check for me? At least I'm not seeing anybody on here who's joined from Facebook. Can somebody go to my Facebook page and let me know if the live went through? But Facebook was able to tell me some things. All right, so we need you to check for me and let me know whether I'm on Facebook. Well, it's 7:15 and we have not played the anthem, and I have to play the anthem now because I was giving you all those notices, right? All those announcements. Well, it is anthem time. And guys, this is an exciting time for us because when it is anthem time, we know that this is serious business. Yeah, serious business, because of the anthem. This is our theme song right here. Okay, so here we go. Oh, wonderful, 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 wonderful. In strength and unity. And that's what is happening with us. We are moving in strength and unity. And that is why we come together. And when we don't see each other at the marches, etc., we miss each other. Remember those faces, and we miss each other. Well, I am hearing family, they're telling me, Jillian Allen is telling me we are on Facebook, y'all. Yes. Well, I got to prove that I am me. Oh my Lord. And so I'm hoping I have to do a lot of changes now. Again, changing up everything again. Let me not say too much of what I'm doing so they don't hear me. Hear the plan out there. Troublemakers, those troublemakers, but we bless them. Jillian, God works it out for us. Thank you, Sharon Kane, for checking for me. And Monica Inns, thank you for checking. Please share those on Facebook. Please share. Guys, when they go low, we go high. Yeah. And when they say you can't be on, then we say we dare them like what? We're gonna share. They can't stop the flow. You're right. They can't stop this flow. Yes, we are back on. Please share. Defy them, because what they're doing is mischievous. It is wrong. It's lies. That they're telling Facebook that it's a fake account, and they keep doing that. And the more they do that, then Facebook reacts and says, "Well, we can't tolerate a fake account, because it's not humans that's even doing these things." So then we have to send a picture to ensure that it's my account and go through a whole set of steps. So I'm happy that we're back on. We give God all the glory. And I want to make sure that as I'm thanking everybody, that I thank God. I know some of you, you don't go to church, and that doesn't mean anything to you, or you might say, well, I'm an atheist, etc. But I thank God because I pray to Him, and He answers my prayers. Kill me. It is what it is. When God is for us, no man can be against us. Blessings. Yes, Jillian, I give God all the glory. Can't stop what God has planned, Sonia. Oh, to Him be the glory. And I ask you guys to share Facebook just because of what they did. Please share. Please share. Take a moment and just stop what you're doing and share for me, please. Share, 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 share. We are warriors and we are fighters. Please share. Please share, guys. So important. Now, tomorrow evening, we have another opportunity to see each other. We have another opportunity to see each other. And I don't know if Dave has that poster, but it is the poster for the national conversation on crime. That is going to be, as another face-to-face meeting. It's going to be at the central bank, right? It's going to, not the Grand Salle Central Bank building, right? So I'm going to send it to Dave if he doesn't yet have it. But it's a national dialogue on crime, causes, and solutions. And this is going to be tomorrow, the 20th of June at 6 p.m. at the Grand Salle Central Bank building. And there is Mr. Bertie Hines is going to be one of the speakers. I'm going to be a speaker. Marcia Weeks Lumumba, Dr. Derek Allen, and Winston Branch is going to be a speaker there as well. And the moderator is Miss Rosemary Allen. And I'm really looking forward to that and to share with everyone there tomorrow. So I am inviting you to come down. Let us, look, we get to see each other twice in a week, Thursday and Saturday, because we don't have a roadside parliament. So we're going to go down and support this event put on by the Office of the Opposition, Barbados Opposition, barbadosopposition.com. And the number there is 233-0860, right? 233-0860. Let our voices be heard. It's be heard. You email be heard at barbadosopposition.com. So it's the barbadosopposition.com that you'll be able to get more information on this. And I know that it's going to be very, very enlightening and engaging. And these people, they all mean business. This is not just talk. Yeah. So let's come on out and have a good conversation on behalf of our country tomorrow. These are serious times that we are living in. Let me just repeat for those who have just joined, because I see almost 500 persons are on at this point, is that what I want to say is that on Saturday at 10 o'clock, we have our march as usual. We just had up our flyer for that. And then there you go. That's Saturday, June 22nd at 10 a.m. And what is that march about? That march is about freedom of expression, freedom of speech. We're making a stand for that. We're saying that it's against our constitutional rights or human rights for this cybercrime bill, for that to be introduced into law into Barbados. And like Rosa Parks, who sat down on the bus because she felt that her constitutional rights and her human rights were being violated. She sat down on that bus and she protested, and everybody has joined her for 381 days. They protested 381 days. You know what that is? 381 days they protested there in the US, and for their constitutional rights. And so us going out there for 16 times, 16 marches, that's nothing really. That's nothing. They were doing this day by day, very organized, very systematic, until change came. Yes, they protested until change came. And so people who say, well, we went already, I don't need to go again. Ah, thank God. When you go to America, you can sit down in the bus and sit down beside anybody you want to sit down. You thank Rosa Parks for, and you know what she did? That was civil disobedience. She decided to disobey the laws. She decided, I'm going to disobey. And there is room for civil disobedience. Thank God for some of our ancestors who did not obey the laws, because those were unjust laws, and so this cybercrime bill, we are pushing back against it, especially sections 19 through to 23, and we are standing up for freedom of speech and freedom of expression. And we have reached out to some lawyers overseas. Some of them, you're going to see them on the show very soon, and where they are really beginning to pick up this case for us here in Barbados. We're not joking. This is very, very serious. Yeah. So this is what is happening, and then we're going to have on the 30th. We have our roadside parliament. Is going to be on the 30th, and these are our speakers that will be there. Senator David Nakid will be coming in from Trinidad and Tobago. He says I have to say and Tobago, will be joining us, along with the Right Reverend Paul Leacock. Let me tell you, he is a real practical man, and he's been doing a lot of work in the trenches with dealing with our young people and decreasing recidivism among our young people. So we want to really salute Reverend Paul Leacock. And there's Zika John. He's an ex gang leader. He actually started a gang in Barbados and has now, taken a different course for his life. And we have, of course, Roger Husbands working so hard, diligently with our young people. So we want to thank God for that. Yes, thank God for that. All right. So well, tonight's show, we have a great show lined up for you. We're going to be talking about the archive. You know that. So Heather is going to be on. Heather will be on to talk about that, and we might have someone from the DLP. Felicia Dujon, because she issued a statement from the DLP. So we're just going to expound on that tonight. And she's trying to make her way on tonight as well. And I'm hoping that Caswell should be on tonight. He was so awesome last night. I don't know if he will be getting a rest tonight, but he was very awesome on that program, as per usual, last night. And so we expect him to be on with workers' rights, and I know he's going to be jumping all over that the fire that we had today, and of course, and we'll see. I'm not sure if Kimar will be able to make it on tonight, but who we have on tonight is Mr. Glenn Murray. And I'm always excited because, Mr. Murray, I got my book ready. I got my book for my notes.
Good night.
Good night, Mr.
Good
Murray.
night.
How are you?
I'm good. And before I go any further, might I also add to your numerous congratulations on the first anniversary? It's a
Yes.
year well spent. Well, you've achieved a lot in that time, but the journey has only just begun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Murray, it's a joy to have you here,
Thank
and
you.
look forward to what you have to present, and just even those conversations that we have off camera, off air, has been very enlightening, and it's an honor to have you here, sir.
The honor is also mine to be able to serve in such an august forum that has done so much for Barbados in such a short period of time. You have never had equivalent of this in Barbados. Believe me.
Wow.
And stay focused. Now I can't recall anything, and anything has sprung out of the belly of Barbados, of the bowels of Barbados, that have come to such prominence and has done such a good job in such a short period of time.
Thank you so much on behalf of all the other panelists and the viewers who make it happen. It's the
Yeah.
viewers and the panelists. We have great panelists, and
Okay.
that Barbados, it's a people of Barbados really that have made it. successful. The people of Barbados.
Okay. You want me to jump right into my
Yes,
topic?
jump
If you
right
could, if you can show,
forward.
if you can show the name of the topic for me, so
Yes,
that
it's going to come up. It's going to come up very, very soon.
right, right, and I hope that I hope people are as intrigued by it as not that the one, mm-mm, no, not that slide, the one called the M&M's of Barbados, Sweet for Whom.
Yes. Yes, that's going to come up soon.
I hope you get the message in that title,
Yes,
Marcy. I hope, yeah.
I got it, and I want it to come up so that the people can see it for what
Okay,
it is. So just bear
okay,
with us.
okay, good. I thought it would be an intriguing title, given all that's going on, that it should catch some interest. I hope to be able to do justice to it in what I see. Yeah, here we go. Barbados's M&M's, Sweet for Whom. Of course, I think everybody knows what are M&M's, some very popular sweets
Yes,
all over the world. Um, Before I go, I had an anecdote which I read here about years ago. There was a man called Warren Christopher, a Secretary of State of the Secretary of State of the United States, and his favorite um, snack was M&Ms, but he ate them with knife and fork. I'm not, I've never gone over that. So he was very fastidious, dressed very. He looked how nothing was ever out of place in his look. But he had to eat his style was such. He ate his M&Ms with knife and fork. But
oh
not
wow.
this is more breadfruit. We have here M&Ms that I'm talking about. I'm talking about M&Ms. I'm talking about the. I tell you, when I looked last week, sometime last week, there was some news coming out of Bahamas
Yeah,
where Prime Minister Motley was at the signing of a loan between businessman Mark Maloney and the Afrim X Afrax Bank Afrax Bank
yeah, I guess Exim
right
back.
to finance his the Hyatt Hotel. But at first, I was a little confused, and people told me they had the same impression because the prime minister that's the one Eminem, Mia Marley, was so involved with the other AMM in this venture. People were beginning to think it was a government loan. It was only after a while it was clear no, it was not a loan. It was a loan between, like I said, um, Mark Maloney for to finance the Hyatt Hotel, and then um, and then it was a private arrangement then, but the prime minister was deeply involved in it. And I was a little surprised, first of all, that it took so long for the financing of this hotel to come about, because the way we were made to believe is that prospective investors were breaking down the door Barbados, anxious to get part of this high action, this tower of strength, this highly lucrative project, the Hyatt Hotel. One even remembers the haste with which this government compulsory acquired Mrs. Ram's land and then sold it to or passed it on to Mr. Maloney to effect the expansion of the hotel. So there was a lot of angst. There was a lot of great deal to push it to let it come to fruition, but somewhere it didn't come to fruition. I was wondering therefore what were the reasons for the delay in the financing. Um, I know there were legal issues, there were at times environmental issues, but what was so delaying this project, because so much had been put into it and promised about it. So people, there was some wondering as to whether might have Mr. Maloney's business might have been overextended, and therefore people were not advanced. So there was some speculation as to whether the the his name being linked with the remember the vaccine scandal that
Yes,
ended up in a court in Miami. Whether all these things might have attached itself to his name and his venture, and therefore had caused some local delay and lack of enthusiasm. There was even said that local banks were not willing. In fact, that was said so to help with the finance, because it was. I was told that some people said what was coming as an input for the private sector into this venture was so small that the bank said it was too risky. They didn't want to take that chance. So it seemed as
Oh,
though, yes, I understand it was a lot had plagued this venture, and then came the Artefacts in bank along. But then I realized too the presence of the prime minister there might have been she had been a long time champion of the Artefacts in bank. Remember that's the same bank that loaned us 25,000 US, 25 million US to refurbish Kensington Oval, and also to part of which went into uh, 5 million, allegedly 5 million into the refurbishment of Oistins. Um, so so much. I know the PM had been a champion of this bank to the extent that Barbados was favored with the site of the headquarters of the bank. I was told long ago that the bank is supposed to build a headquarters, old general hospital building, which was also held the Ministry of Health,
mm,
and so it's supposed to go there, and that was one of the reasons why government was so anxious to get back some of the land from Mr. Kate for the Savvy on the beach.
yes.
Remember the country, right? Because they wanted to put some car parking over that side of the road. So a lot has been going on in the background about the bank and this venture and whatnot. Um, I also maybe what are the details? So the bank came through for Mr. Maloney, and for Barbados' sake, I say congratulations. I'm glad it came through. But one thing that also intrigued me was what were the details of the headquarters agreement with the bank. I've never heard of any details as to what exactly was involved, and what were the implications, what was Barbados providing, what they were providing, what were the do's and the don'ts. So maybe somebody has, if they have access to that information, they can pass
Mhm,
it on to me. But
yes.
so that has not been clear. So when I saw uh, so maybe special submissions and interventions were made to make it possible for for this financing to go to Mr. Maloney. And I must say that the two M&Ms, both of them were equally almost desperate to get this project going. Politically,
Uh-huh.
politically, political for the prime minister, and also uh, financially, of course, as an investor for Mr. Malone. And then, because I remember too, some of the prime minister utterances about Mr. Maloney before when she was opposition. I remember once one night speaking at a meeting at Terrell Cotton in Spooners Hill, and she said this is when she was being very critical of him on platforms in opposition. She said
Mhm.
that said if he were to win the government, this is before the 2018 election, he would get some work from me, but he can't get all. And then remember she followed up this in the saying George North by election where she said, you got to understand all the big words got to come through me. So there was clearly a romance, so to speak, between the M&Ms, a combination of the two to, to bring this project into being. So I was still puzzled about it. So if you can bring up slide number one, no, the quote from Maya Angelou, which I had referred to some time ago, I'd like if you could replay that for me. It
Yes.
says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If you could
Yes.
just refresh that for the public's mind.
Yes. Maya Angelou, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
Okay. And after that, I also, there was a statement which I had referred to also, and I'll have you bring it up for me. Um, extracted from a document produced for an investment set forum on the 24th of April 2019. If you can slow slide two, which is a cover of a document.
But I like that Maya Angelou quote as
Yeah,
we're
it's
finding the other one.
right.
Let me see somebody's making fun with you and asking you how old is that glass cabinet in your background?
Maybe even older than me. I am a great collector of traditional Barbados. So I have a lot of stuff in my house. You're right.
Yeah.
That is the document. That was a document aimed at it says welcome to Barbados, aimed at the investment world, um, to come and invest in Barbados. But that what and then there's a statement in the document which says, slide number 3. I referred to it already, but it has haunted me. It has haunted me. It says, when the Prime Minister says, we have overhauled our 54-year-old town and country plan act and
Yes.
replaced it right. I replaced it with a new planning and development act with a presumption in favor of development. With a presumption in favor of development. Those words have haunted me ever since I read that. And then it went on to say, which emphasizes speed and predictability.
Mm-hmm.
We further make a commitment that any application not initially approved, there are responses we made with recommendations that will secure approval. In other words, it's like saying, first of all, what bothered me about the presumption in favor of development. It's like going to the doctor to be examined, and the doctor says, um, "I may examine you, but I presume you're very sick, and therefore, and I will treat you as though you're very sick, rather than going through and see what your findings are." And it was so uncharacteristic of anything I ever heard about planning or development in Barbados.
Mm-hmm.
Because at one time when I was personal assistant to Prime Minister Tom Adams, I sat as a member of a town and country plan review committee where we would review complaints or dissatisfaction or objections from the public for planning matters. So I have some idea as to the thesis, the philosophy, the
Mm-hmm.
outlook that had going into going into planning. So I could understand this presumption in favor of development. But then it occurred to me that the Prime Minister has never come out and explained that to the public. That
Mm-hmm.
might very well serve a developer. But for the member of the public, we who have to live with the consequences of development, that has never been broken down. What is the thinking about it? What's the rationale? Why are you so heavily in favor of development? I thought because previous to that, there were standard set rules, regulation you applied, and on a case by case basis, these applications were considered.
Yeah.
But when you are now into an era and a thinking and a philosophy and a approach where there's a presumption to develop, it means that the odds are the factors are stacked in your favor. You can almost believe it's a foregone conclusion. And it made me remember there used to be a slogan used by Carl Williams: "You move the earth to please."
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, if you presume to development, what do you mean by development? My concept of development might not be the same of as the Prime Minister's, who is also a Minister of Plan Development. Development, is it physical development with structures and building and infrastructure, or is it development of the people? Because this quotation never mentions anything about the people or the
Right.
way our life or what. So I've always
We
been,
could see the quotation one more time. I don't know if they
yeah,
can put up that quotation because I think it's so important because this was part of a document,
right,
right? A part of a document where they're promoting Barbados as a place to invest, right?
right, yes. You want to read it again for the
And it
public?
says we have overhauled our 50-year-old Town and Country Planning Act and replaced it with a new Planning and Development Act with a presumption in favor of development, which emphasizes speed and predictability. We further make a commitment that any applications not initially approved are responded to with recommendations that would secure approval in rethinking planning, and it goes on. So they're kind of ensuring that that all projects will be approved. So hence that explains those river. But anyway, go ahead.
Right, you got it right. So it has bothered me for a long time. So I went back to in the light uh, of the Hyatt and other things, and in the light of Joe's River. Remember, that's like I said, neither the Prime Minister, who's Minister of Plan and Development, nor even the Chairman of the Board Remember, we got the board up and put it on the screen, the names. Nobody has said a word. Nobody felt that they have an account, they are accountable enough to Barbadians to explain to me what do they mean by develop, what are the implications for this approach which had hitherto not existed in Barbados. What does this two thinking mean? So then they look and say, but I said, I now understand why we're having the issues like at George River.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? Which is before the court, etc. But that there are multiple, remember the Valentine issue?
Yes.
Remember the Valentine issue? And there's some other incidents where Barbadians feel that they're not um they're not they're and the remember the Graham Hall application where they wanted to build a car park and whatnot in the hotel almost it diverts in Lawrence Gap talk about it. Think talked about it. I think leading opposition. That was a big furore in Graham. So these things which are hitherto almost saying, think look at the East Coast Road. The East Coast Road had been neither Grandy Adams nor Elwood Barrow nor Tom Adams, nor any other prime minister have allowed much work to do because in that whole eastern stretch from Pico Tenerife down right down to St. Philip, which was designated by Tom Adams as a national park. There used to be dozens of applications made for development of the hills on the beach side with all promises they could use all kind of technology and techniques, and it remained very minimal development. But now we see, I understand. Now we see that that whole area is blossoming with for sale signs because, and I am told that those for sale signs, I checked with some people in the real estate business, are an indication that are buying or willing to sell because people will now buy because they know these are now subject to development based on with a presumption in favor of development. That's why you're seeing all these sudden upsurge in activity on the east, both on the land side and the seaside, and it's changing the whole nature of Barbados. Um, the whole Joes River, where people had traditional ancestral rights to doing certain paths and going certain places and whatnot. We thought it had been put to rest since the 1950s when Granny Adams had to give permission for the Sand Lane Hotel to be built. Because Sand Lane, where Sand Lane is, was all part of a plantation, and they had to divert the road. But Granny Adams insisted that they could only get permission if public have access to the beach. And that laid down since 1950, early 1950, I think, probably 52 or so, about the whole question of the public access to its natural patrimony. And this no longer seems to hold where we're getting these consistent this cries of disapproval and upset. There's some in St. James along a whole town. Not far. There's some high-rise developments going on in St. James, Westmoreland, where the public is very unhappy as the way the whole process. And it seems as though there's no longer concern about Venus to the sea. And it seems as though this whole approach is that development comes first. Development is to be approved over the extent of what it is to be Barbados. And it made me remember. I know you'd be surprised at this, Marcia. If I could then take a quick look at, I'm making a reference to believe it or not, the Bible, right? I'm serious. It says, if you look at Mark chapter 8, verse 36, I quote, "For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?
Yeah.
What shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul?" And I thought, in the light of this whole new approach to so-called development,
Yes.
I said, if I had to give an interpretation that in the Barbadian context, I would say, for what shall it profit a prime minister if she develop the whole of Barbados in this way to destroy the soul of our people and our way of life? For
Mm,
what shall it profit a prime minister if she would or shall develop the whole of Barbados in this manner as seems to be emerging by this new policy of the new Plan and Development Act in this way and destroy the soul of our people and our way of life. Because I'm not convinced that enough respect, and there's an attitude from outsiders, both regional and international. And if they, especially those who open businesses, etc., they have this attitude. They're the new colonizers.
Yes.
They come with their external attitudes. We'd had a ever since in 1937 and 51, we had a quiet social revolution in Barbados where there was certain accepted way of the races interacting, etc. We had laws protecting the rights of workers, but no, all this with the neoliberal philosophy out of Washington and the developed countries, championed by the IMF, and let's say investors in the IMF. The laws, the protection for, like Castle talks about it all the time, and it's true.
Yes.
They disregard for the rights of workers, disregard for the patrimony of Barbados. I mean, while I too grieve at the fire or at the archives, there's another quiet, insidious, unobservable almost destruction of our culture, our heritage, or where that's happening, where this town planning is concerned. And we have to be equally sharp and sensed by it to keep the fight up, to make the government, let the Prime Minister, let the board or chairman come and explain to the public exactly what is happening. The whole tone and thrust and tenor and elements and philosophy, if there's one, seems to have been abandoned as what we are known in a traditional manner in Barbados.
Wow, Mr. Murray, this is I don't know why. I guess it's the way I'm made up, but these kinds of things matter to me so much, like the archive and like this, because it's changing who we are, and it's not in a good way. And I loved how you use that scripture. What we are doing all of this development. Somebody on here, I think it's Easy D, my friend Easy D. Good night, Easy D. Easy D says um, what it's doing, it's making it easier to invest in Barbados. So I'm gonna just turn off your mic a little bit. It's not that Mr. Murray is saying that we don't want investment in Barbados. Easy D, and it should be easy to invest in Barbados. But all right, this is a comment here, but not like this, not at the expense of our culture and our heritage. We've got to balance out things. And the way that this is written here in this document, inviting investors, and I've read this before. Mr. Murray's showing it here tonight, but I have read this in the document before. This is basically telling them, no, you don't worry about it. We're going to make it happen. So that is why they could give that investor, that developer in Joe's River, right, the okay to build a wellness center in the middle of the river. If it wasn't for the people who decided to speak up against it, they would have done that, guys. And that, so when a lot of times we talk about these things, and but we don't realize it is our culture and our heritage. This is what, it's almost like a prostitution of ourselves is what is happening. But over to you, Mr. Murray. Yes. Oops. Okay, go ahead. Unmute, Mr. Murray. I'm sorry. Ah,
Yeah, right. I'm
yes.
saying,
And
I'm
turn
saying
on
that.
your camera. Turn on your camera. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes. Go
right.
ahead.
No problem. Of course, I'm in favor of development. I've seen Barbados develop from the 50s, etc., and I've seen, well, it's always been a gradual, and it made sense. Most of it made sense, and we can appreciate. You didn't seem to, it didn't make you seem as though you're being overwhelmed and overtaken. And I'm not anti-outside or whatever, but I am pro Barbados first. Barbados comes first. And I'm saying it cannot be development at whatever cost to Barbados, either culturally, financially, structurally, whatever. I think we have to make sure that whatever development comes in, what guys, that it means something, adds to the patrimony of Barbados. Barbadians on the whole, as a Barbados society, benefits not just by taxation, but it does not destroy our whole internal being. It does not change the character of Barbados. That soon, what will be what distinction will it be about Barbados? What is distinctive about Barbados? probably only an accent. So
Mm,
we have to, while we want foreign investment, it cannot. We have to be selective.
yes.
Let me give an old story. Years ago, um, Sanders had bought the old Paradise Hotel, right?
Mm,
Four Seasons, and they wanted to put it. They were insisted on a private beach, and he said, "No, it can't happen. Not in Barbados." And that is why that never got off the ground because they were insisting it had to be that a private beach or no go, so it didn't go.
mhm.
But we could not so offend the integrity of the Barbados persona to have private beaches and give government's approval and government sanction. So I'm looking for somebody from government with access to the information. Explain to what that means and give me some examples. Because what I'm seeing and hearing about around Barbados has given me a very queasy feeling. And I'm
Yeah.
fearful for the future longevity of Barbados as a society as we know it.
Mr. Murray, I want to, I believe this is something I would love for you to write something on this. We've been all talking, we will talk off air, but I really believe that we need to be able to capture this, and we need to write it down,
Okay.
and do a record of it, because you were part of the town and country planning, my understanding, based on what you've been saying, and so what the intent of town and country planning is versus the planning and development, act now. So to see what the differences are and how it is eroding our heritage, has the potential to erode our heritage and our culture.
And for the completeness of the record, my memory tells me that Town Culture Planning Act came in 1964 under Mr. Barrow. So for the first time, we had on paper stated principles and practices and rules and regulations that had fostered the development from that time onwards, with amendments here and there as we go along, with physical development acts and whatnot. But we had a codified written document that would get a summary and given guidelines to how development is supposed to proceed, along what lines and through what measures.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Murray. So well said, and pulling up my
Thank
heartstring again, and that is going to help us to segue into talking about the archive. But I want to, there's something that came to my phone today, Mr. Murray, and it's about what is happening in Ghana, actually, Ghana in West Africa, because they are also having a lot of protests. And one of the things, yes, the Ghanaians are protesting because the government is selling off its properties. The Ghanaians there's a protest in Accra, the Accra, Ghana, that is
Uh-huh.
happening now. They're saying activists likely to state further protests at the Ministry of Finance in Accra, Ghana, um, through at least early July. So they're having these protests happening in Ghana at this time as well.
Yeah, I remember hearing in the news this morning, BBC News, that there's also some turmoil going on in Kenya
Yes,
about cost of living increases and some. I mean, some.
actually, we
I
have a little video of the what's happening in Kenya that we can show. But
yeah.
I just want to say that they're in Ghana. They have quite. There's a march that is going on, and they've in their marches they've had clashes between the police and the protesters, and they have been, listen, they have been June 12th, between June 12th and 19th, from 9 a.m. each day. They are protesting in Ghana. You believe that? And this is serious, and it has to do with the selling of properties, right? Ghanaians, they're not taking it lying down, and they say Bajans are passive. No, but that's where a lot of us come from, Ghana. Our DNA is nothing about no passivity, you
But
know.
if I might address that quickly, this allegation that Barbadians have always been passive. If that were so, how would you have had the various rebellions, busts, and all that, the attempts at rebellion? Apart from that, the literature tells me from my research and readings that because we did not have a big land mass, no mountains and hills and valleys where people could try to write and run to, we then had to use tactics and strategy to get our point across. So it was passive resistance,
Yeah.
where for example, those who work in the house, the cooks and the maids would be able to do things to sabotage the meals or the clothes. There were women who aborted themselves rather than bring children, another slave into the world as a means of protesting
Yeah.
and rebelling against the system. So this idea that we were passive, no, it's just that we, in order to survive, because the basic instinct of any creature is to survive.
Yeah.
So you don't do things that threaten your own survival, particularly those if you have responsibilities to people, etc. So they found ways of expressing their dissatisfaction and their resistance in ways not confronting frontally and violently, but still making their presence felt in their own ways over a period of time as suited the Barbadian geographical and social conditions in Barrow.
Yes, and I like how you say geographical. There's so much. We could do a whole show on just talking about this what you just said there a while ago. But let's just look at this quickly. I see Heather is there ready to go about these. The archive is coming up, guys. Don't move, don't move. Okay, so go ahead, Dave, and we're just gonna play a little bit of.
And you know, one guy on Twitter said that, yesterday, that tonight everybody is Kenyan.
For the first time, people are proud to be Kenyan.
Yeah. So what is happening, guys? There have been protests. Yesterday was on a Tuesday, and people protested. Young people, actually, Gen Z and millennials, protested in the city of Nairobi against a new bill that is being introduced by the president and his supporters, the Finance Bill 2024, which is crazy, guys. And it was yesterday.
We're seeing it's we're having a little challenge with the Wi-Fi, but what they're saying is that there's a finance bill that is coming on stream, and they are protesting like we are protesting about the cybercrime bill. In Kenya, they're protesting against this finance
In
bill.
Nairobi,
Okay, let's hear. Let's see if
today
we
in
can.
Mombasa, tomorrow.
No. Okay, so it's not showing. It's not showing. It's we're having some challenges there. But
Yeah.
but if I could just explain, so it's a finance bill, and they have taken to the streets these young people, and which is what that's the wonderful thing about it is to see young people going to the streets to actually protest. And I think that is really really wonderful, as you said, Gen Z and the X, the ones above them. I don't know what you call them, but well, we are the Generation X. It's the other ones. The millennials? Sorry. They have been going to the street and protesting against the high cost of living, the prices too high in Kenya. You were saying something, Mr. Murray. Go ahead quickly, and then I introduce the next segment.
No, it can wait. It can wait.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Murray. I see Mr. Franklin is in, but Heather came in to jump in his space, so we're going to while he's settling himself. I know he wouldn't mind the little extra time. So Heather is going to say a few things, and when I think he's settled, I'll bring him in because I know he'll jump in the conversation with Heather. So he'll give me a thumbs up when he's ready. But he's ready. Mr. Franklin is here. Good evening, Mr. Franklin. How are you?
Well, good evening. I'm full.
You're full. I know how it is. I rush to cook before before these sessions. You know.
I had meetings all day today. My last meeting finished after 3, so that was not time for lunch. So I had to get something to eat before I came on this evening.
Yes, yes, and we want you to get something to eat. Just set a little and let Heather
Yes,
move
of
ahead
course.
then. But we will all jump into the discussion when she's finished presenting. So Heather, welcome.
Thank
And
you.
yes, it's good to see you here. We had a chat this morning because Mr. Franklin and they're calling for us in New York. So I had a chat. Heather's in New York. I said, Heather, these people are bothering me about coming to New York. What do you think? So Heather is going to make sure if it's going to happen, going to make sure that it happens. So we were chatting about that today. And if you're watching and you're from New York and you're part of that group that wants us to come to New York, please message me 236-7000. 236-7000. Okay. And I hear the people you're telling me you want to come. You're going to send airfare for them? Anyway. All right. So go ahead, Heather. Good to have you here. Heather, what's on your mind tonight?
Good night, everyone. Actually, a lot is on my mind. I'll try to make it as quick as possible, but however, I was in distress yesterday when I heard that there was a fire at the archives.
So hold a minute. So you were crying. You were shedding crocodile tears too. Sorry,
I wasn't crying, but I was in distress.
Oh,
I
okay.
was.
Yeah, I saw your post.
So if I cry tonight, y'all will understand. So I had sent Dave my presentation. I don't know if he had checked, but if not, I will start. And it starts off by saying what the archives mean to me. And if I get emotional, you all will understand, I am sure. But it won't be crocodile tears. It says, I first visited the archives when I was at the Barbados Community College. And I found that there was a man working there whose last name was Cole. And he said he lived at Hanny's in Christchurch. And he showed me a record of a slave who lived at Hanny's plantation. And the man, he looked like he was a darker version of my uncle who was fair. So this man was dark and my uncle was fair. When I went home, I told my grandmother, and she said what was perhaps the most important words that I heard to date in my life. It was, we are from Rising Sun. That's what my grandmother told me. And I didn't go back to, and Rising Sun was a plantation that is close to Ball's plantation in Christchurch. I didn't get back to the archives until years later, but I never forgot those words because they had lit a quest in me to find out who I was. And they do have it on the screen. All right. And to number 3, I love research and history. And I want to say something now that I forgot. Each time I come on this show and Maxine is here, I never remember to thank her for allowing me to change my course of study to economics. So I put it in here so that I won't forget. And after that, after I came to the US, I got my DNA tested. And since then, I have never stopped researching the last name Cole in Barbados. And I was in Barbados in April, and I visited the archives on 2 occasions, and I was searching for wills. And one of them could not be found, and the other was in conservation. And I was told that there was no funding for digitization. What I was really looking for was the name of a slave woman who was to connect me to either Mali or Senegal. But since I didn't get to see the wills then, when I came back to New York, I found a book. And last week, so this would be not last Saturday, this Saturday before, I went to the Brooklyn Library to see if I could get hold of that book. But they told me that it was in the archives. And I went on Sunday gone to visit the archives, but the information online and what actually was conflicting, but it was closed. So I promised to go sometime this week. So this is kind of current for me. So I've been in research mode. So when I heard that the archives was on fire, I was filled with all kind of emotions that I might never know who the woman is if her name was left in one of those wills. So it really had me devastated. And to me, it was not a good feeling. And everything I felt was that we should have, that this should have never happened. And I also want to make note to people, you can go to the next slave, Dave. Apart from what I said before, that from the dawn of time that we Black people sat in Africa around campfires and we listened to stories, and they wove the fabric of our lives. And the transatlantic slavery interrupted this. It tore our fabric, half of which remains in our DNA, things like our biases and inferiority and things that we don't really understand, that are deep in our guts, and we don't know why we feel certain way about certain things. Those are still in our DNA. And the other half of information about us, the one that is written, is in those historical records, and they are like a trail back to who we were before. And if possible, all of us should be on the path to try to find out that. I know that everybody is not affected by slavery. Some people don't have time, and some people have never thought about it, but I am one of the people who it has deeply affected, and it will never stop my pursuit until it takes me where I want it to go. So I think that we need to preserve those records to perpetuity, because we don't know when we will need them. We just don't know. And to go on about the background of what happened, we all know that on the 17th of June, there was a fire at the archives that was attributed to lightning, and Block D was destroyed. And in my opinion, it's an act of criminal negligence. It should never have occurred. Barbados has a terrible history when it comes to maintaining its buildings in terms of storage, and when affected by fire and flooding and so on, things that we thought that we would have been past by now. And next I have a picture of the fire burning, and I have the clip from Mr. Abrams and Miss Monroe Knight on site. I'm not sure if Dave will be able to play it. It's about 3 minutes long, but I want those. Dave, can you try? Because I want people to see it.
Yeah, yes. And while we're working, trying to see if that is possible, usually, if it's put in a PowerPoint, it's very difficult. StreamYard has a difficulty to show it. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. If not, we can go on. People can search on it from the internet, and later on, I'll put
give us a summary of what was said.
All right. Basically, Miss Monroe Knight was very emotional when she was speaking about this, about what had happened.
Yeah, right.
To me, it was negligent, and you could see that she was faking it. How could someone be responsible for something and it burned down? And they don't really have a cause as to why it burned down. Their justification is the lightning, but it is more than the lightning. If the property was well secured, it would never have happened. And they said,
let's be clear, we're saying, because we don't know either. So this is your theory and your opinion that you believe, Miss Heather, that this was not. You don't believe it was a lightning, because we must say that the government, they have issued a statement and said
that is what they said. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Know that you have.
Yes, but Heather, you must remember that we don't only get lightning, we get monkeys and things taking our electricity. They do, you know. So
I do agree.
Everything else, because
it could be anything.
That building should have had what they call a lightning rod, something that comes up from the roof and goes right down into the ground, so that any lightning will be conducted into the ground. So where was it?
Someone had a post on the internet. It's very interesting that you said that, because he said he was wondering if what was there was actually one of those radio wires. You know what I mean? The antennas, instead of the wire that grounds electricity. He had a whole write-up on it. I think I had shared it with Marcia, but I don't remember what he said exactly. But he's unsure either that it was the lightning that caused the thing to burn. Anyway, to go on, Block D was completely destroyed, and Mr. Abrams promised a full investigation. So
Like the
I
one at
and I
prison.
hope the other members of the public is awaiting the published report. And the documents that were lost. The lady who was I think she's the chief archivist, I'm not sure, Miss Thompson, she said that the majority of records were destroyed, and some of these records included vestry records, city council records, records of mental hospital and general hospital, and so on. So she herself is not sure what was lost, and we, the public of Barbados, must press. Go on to the next slide. Must go on for a comprehensive list of all the documents that were destroyed from Block D and not be satisfied with, and so on. That is not an accurate description of loss. And also, all right, the next one, slide 10. The archives needs to provide the public with an accurate description of the documents that have been salvaged. And I had some questions that were to be asked. Why was the building destroyed? That was one. Why in 2024 government would have continued to store precious historical and irreplaceable documents in structures that can be compromised? That is what the government needs to tell us. Most Caribbean governments should have known that the archives in Trinidad were completely destroyed by fire in 1903, and all the colonial records were lost. That should have set a precedent. We want to know why the structure of the building was not upgraded. No historic document should be stored in a building with a wooden roof. In 2024, the roof of all such buildings, for example, in the archives, should be changed to cement. And number 13. And why was there no storage, no vault storage? This makes absolutely no sense. And why are there no fireproof doors? And there should be no inside electricals with the document. That is another great flaw. And there should be no outside air condition. We shouldn't have anything in the room with the documents that could cause a fire. And also I wanted to know, why are all the original documents kept on site? Why not have secondary storage in different locations? And so they could have reprinted the materials and stored some somewhere else just in case. Also, duplicate should have been created and stored on the cloud, in microfilm, in digital or paper form. And then I wanted to know what constitutional issues could arise from the destruction of archival documentation. And all that's something that we should discuss here. And serious constitutional issues could happen with regards to property and reparations, and I'm not sure what else. If given, for example, for reparations, if given that persons conduct at some point in time, reparations are being given and persons decide to conduct their own claims, what would be the source of their information if all has been destroyed? And serious constitutional issues with regards to property, I read that already. When an issue comes up, we don't know what that issue will be. It could be anything. Will the excuse be, if it required documentation, that the documentation was destroyed in the archives? That's something we need to know. And number 16, future maintenance. I wanted to make it clear rather that something fundamentally must be done to change government's outlook on maintenance, that we can't have a repeat of what happened now. For example, I used the new geriatric hospital as future reference. We know that it's a new structure. It could be compromised by noise, pollution, by cane fires, by smoke. It is near a gully and near a water course. And since I think it's about 5 stories, should be 5 stories high, there will be there need to be elevator maintenance. What we will be building if nothing changes, it is like a disaster that is waiting to happen. And to go on, all right, number 17. What we have learned since the fire. This is interesting news. Remember, when I went to the archives, I was told that the archives had no funding to digitize the wills. Yet I've since learned that the government has a secret digitization project at Vault Loose, and no one in the public has any clue as to what is being digitized. And there is no knowledge of the project in the public arena as yet, and yet taxpayers' funds are being used. And the project seems to have stopped as no one can provide an accurate indication of when last the staff were seen on site. And the estimate was somewhere between December and January. That was all that I could find. And I think that is the end.
Yeah.
Wait. Was that it? Oh, so questions that Barbadians should be asking the government is what is or was the project of Vault Loose, exactly what is being digitized, and what is the website for the several years work, digital work that has been utilized by taxpayers' funds. There should be a website to show us exactly what was being done. Why is this project a secret? And what could the government be digitizing? Well, that is a repeat of what I said. What could they be possibly digitizing when I was told there's no funding to digitize the records of the archives? So those are questions that I have that I would love to have answers for. If anybody out there has any knowledge, please let me know. This is more than just the archives. I take this personally. I take what happened personally.
Yes. Thank you, Heather. I will ask Mr. Franklin to make a comment about this, and I also brought in Ms. DeJohn early, seeing that I pushed up Heather earlier, so she could make a quick comment and to go off. But let me just hear from Mr. Franklin. Where were you today when you heard about this fire? You're muted.
Yeah, I saw something on somebody sent me a WhatsApp thing saying the archives is on fire because it was up late reading, and I saw the thing up on my phone, and I said, "Oh dear, I think they're burning down the place. There might be things they want to get rid of." That was my first reaction, and then when I heard Abrams saying, "Oh, they're gonna have this investigation and that kind of stuff," I don't trust him as far as I can spit. Reason being, he was going to have an investigation in the prison too, and it's going to make it public and take until the investigation finished. And then he said, "Oh, national security," and would not tell people what they found out about what was going on in the prison. I don't trust him, And my final thing is that I said it earlier, but I want to repeat it. I don't believe it could have been a lightning strike unless you had some sort of like a bunch of leaves or dry leaves up there, and when the lightning hit, and you didn't have anywhere for the lightning to get to the ground, because all those buildings, you see those skyscrapers in New York and all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they don't burn down all the time when there's lightning? Because they have lightning rods that come from the top of that building all the way down to the ground. You will see something going into the ground. We should have had that by now in our buildings. We should not have these, or as Heather said, they shouldn't have these wooden roofs. But again, you can't trust the people who do the building, because right now they will destroy them. The government picked their friends to go and do work. I remember they almost destroyed Parliament buildings because Parliament building, they don't understand construction, and they don't understand how and why. So they thought it good to put a concrete floor into the Parliament building. Well, that concrete, the water from the Careenage traveled up to the concrete floor, all the way up to the roof of the building. The building was falling apart. They had to dig out the concrete and then put back wood. They didn't understand why it was wood. There was a reason for it being wood. There was a reason why they had air vents in the building so the air would keep the thing. But they pick people who do not understand anything about construction, but they're BLP people or they're party hacks, and they get work that they don't have any knowledge of. So fixing the archives when just cause it to burn down, another building to burn too. You got to have professional people making these assessments and then let the government take the advice. Because all of a sudden, when a person is appointed to a minister, all of a sudden he becomes an expert in the area that he really has any knowledge of it before or since. If you are appointed Minister of Education, all of a sudden you become a great person in education reform and all kind of stuff. You know everything about it, and he probably did bad at school anyhow. You know, so and I said finally just now, but what did we learn after the fire? And all I can say is that I learned that Chantal Marona is a very poor actress.
Yeah, as well. And they said that she forgot to put on our makeup for the show. Listen, the lady, she might have been really moved. I don't know.
It doesn't seem so. It doesn't seem so. It was too dramatic. Nobody cries like that.
No. That was she was trying to get best actress in the supporting role, but she failed. She failed miserably.
So she was in the supporting role. So who was the lead actress then? Anyway,
the lead actress is always Motley. All the rest are in supporting roles.
Oh my Lord! They said it. Somebody said the Oscar goes. Oh my Lordy! But let me just talk to Miss DeJean because welcome Miss DeJean. Welcome Felicia.
Hi, good evening, brothers and sisters. Good evening to your viewers as well. How are you this evening?
Doing great, doing great. And you know, I know you're on just for a couple of minutes, but let me clarify. I said that I had read something that was written, you know, on behalf of the DLP, and you corrected me and said you're speaking tonight as a human rights activist, which is what I know you as. So
well, I'm doing both. Well, you know, you really can separate the two. You know, at most times when you hear my name, you usually associated with human rights, and of course, being the third vice president of the Democratic Labour Party, I think it's important that we still continue to do the work of the people. That being said, very serious questions have been raised as to what has happened and transpired at the archives. And I went there yesterday, and of course, just to take a look at what is happening. And it's a very serious matter. And I believe that once the investigation or the probe has been done, that kind of information would be provided to the public. Because what we've seen, as rightfully our brother Franklin have said here, is that we've seen a lot of those investigations and a lot of those probes have been done, and yet still it's not circulated in the public domain. So the public has no access to that information. And I think it's very prudent at this point that information is provided to the public so that we can make our own judgment on what has have occurred and what has occurred previously. We've seen again what has happened in Parliament, where the West Wing, where we have the artifacts of Sir Errol Barrow being, excellency being, stolen or whatever that it is. And so we're seeing those various types of transgressions that have been done, and no one is being really held accountable for it. There's no accountability. And I think it's very important that we have to start speaking about those kinds of issues and how it affects and relates to us as citizens, because these are records, these are ancestral records as well. And we have to be these are documents that was left, that was held in the hands of the state, that is left in their preservement of the state, and the state has the responsibility. It is their responsibility to safeguard those documents. And it's also a matter, of course, we have those documents are usually not only for in terms of going and going back into history and our ancestral development, but also these documents are used for research. And so it's very important that we understand the nature and the dynamics of what we're dealing with. And yes, we do understand the minister being emotional about it, yes, but they have to be held accountable. There's an element of accountability that this government, for some reason, seems to avoid quite often. And we have to hold persons accountable when such matters. The buck stops at them. What has been happening in the last few years? We were told that these documents would be digitized. So what is happening? Where is the outcome of that? And these are the kinds of serious questions that need to be placed forward at this point.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Mr. John. Mr. Murray, any thoughts on these documents that they're saying that they're mainly vestry documents?
Yes, I was thinking of putting this thing in context. I don't believe in coincidences, but it occurred to me that when you talk about accountability, Parliament falls under the Prime Minister. The archives fall under Prime Minister, technically Minister of Culture, etc., whatever that falls. So these are things that really reflect negatively on her management of things under her ministry, and how to protect them, safeguard the development and whatnot. But what I'd also like to say is that I would thank Miss Minister Morrow Knight for her disclosure that she said that all of Barbados, I'm sure all Barbados know that we have an archival economy. I didn't know. Archival economy. An archival economy.
What is that?
Well, I had heard about archive economy. Archive is a more antiquated form of archive where you're supposed to make money, monetize your archival material and documents and whatnot. But I didn't know we had an industry, and she never expanded on it. It was news to me. But then they put it in the same realm of the blue and green economy. The orange economy, orange economy also falls under Monroe Knight, which I say has something to do with the arts and the artists, etc. But they are into slogans and labels, but there's no follow through. There's no structure. There's nothing you can find otherwise that says that Barbados has a so-called archival economy. She didn't explain it, what it's supposed to do, how far. So it just sounds fancy. But there's no, and that's the problem. There's no structured, coherent, follow through, meaningful. That's why they're not delivering. They talk about and move on to something else. That's the style. Talk and move on, talk and move on, as though people will not realize that it's just froth and no beer.
Yeah. Mr. John, thank you so much for saying that, Mr. Murray, because as soon as you say archival economy or whatever, I'm like, oh Lord, another one of those again. They just, it's like they went on the internet and found a slogan or the latest saying, and they just say it. And let's not forget that this ministry is really the minister. It falls under the Minister of Culture, and that Minister of Culture is the Prime Minister. So let's not. I know we saw Miss Monroe Knight, and she was crying because she's a minister in the Ministry of Culture, right? She was crying, taking responsibility. I guess, I don't know, but really and truly, the minister is the Minister of Culture, and I think, Mr. Jean, it's about time that we really ask the question whether or not the Prime Minister, when you look and you see the number of things, Mr. John, that's happening underneath these ministries or within these ministries that are under the Prime Minister. Look at what's happened with the planning and development. The whole thing is a mess. There's a case in court right now about Joe's River. People are protesting, all kinds of things happening because we're not comfortable with what's happening. Now look at this is under her ministry again. It means that to me, Mr. John, it's seeming to me that this Prime Minister, she has too many things in her care. Any thoughts on that, Mr. John?
I think you're accurate in your analysis, but it's again, it speaks about the element of accountability. We have seen in the past under the entire administration when ministers, particularly when they have done things that are questionable, things that have done that are, I would say, unethical, we find that the prime minister comes in and just rubbishes as if it's not that important and we can move on. And I think it's very important that the Barbadian citizens understand that it is their responsibility to hold such persons into account, to make them accountable for their actions. They are there being paid by taxpayers and they're doing a job. And if they're not doing the job the way that they are supposed to be doing it, we should be holding them accountable. And in such matters, yes, as I do understand what the Minister for Culture have said, and we do understand as a human person, she may have been emotional and perhaps it may have been traumatic as well. But at the same time, we have to hold persons responsible. It is under your portfolio. There are certain things that should have been done. Was it done? And so that's why I'm asking that when this probe, that probe is done, that it is being made public and that persons are held accountable for whatever that was done that should not have been done. And it's just a matter of holding persons accountable. And I think that's very important. And it's very interesting, if I may add this. A few weeks ago, we had the fire in Wellington. Some of the residents in Wellington did say that there was some concerns about the fire trucks, and the minister responsible did not see fit to have an investigation or probe in the claims that were being made. And so these are the kinds of concerns I think it's very important that we look into what they consider to be something that we need to look or investigate, and what they believe that they should just rubbish it and believe that it is not something that is important that we need to do further investigation into. So these are the kinds of matters that we have to take a very closer look into, what the government believes or what those ministers believe are important to them and not to the people of Barbados. And so I think it's very important that we do those kinds of interventions. I would say, I would use the word citizenry interventions, because at the same time, we expect them to do the work that is necessary, but at the same time, we have to hold them account. And we need transparency in what is happening. We do not want to just hear, just as what Frankie said, we just don't want to hear an investigation and then probe is being done. We want to know exactly what processes and what procedures and how persons would be reprimanded for any of the damages or any of the infractions or breaches that has occurred.
Marcia, there's something that I want to throw into the mix. You know, we operate under what we call the Westminster type system.
Are we all hearing Caswell clearly, or it's just me? Could be me. Are you hearing him? You are, okay.
Yeah. We operate under what we call a Westminster type system of government. And under the Westminster system, when a disaster occurs in your ministry, you are duty bound, honor bound to vacate the office. An example, I can show you what it is. It is as it is. Number of years ago, there was a flight, Air India, something that crashed. The Minister of Civil Aviation in India tendered his resignation because something in his ministry went wrong, awfully wrong. We only have a parody of the Westminster type system of government. We have the systems, but we don't have the accountability or the conventions or anything like that. We just go around the place pretending. Oh, there's that word again. I don't have to call upon Dave to play a song for me, but we just pretend that somebody should have offered their resignation over the loss of those archival records, unless they were deliberate.
I mean, it's my big question is, I don't know if anybody knows. I didn't see it in the newspaper. Did we find out the cause of the fire at Wellington Street? Was that made known to the Barbadian public? What
No.
has that been investigated? Does anybody? Because sometimes I'm going to say that sometimes I might miss something. I would like to know if anybody knows how those persons lost their homes at Wellington.
Well, there would have been more than one cause. The first house that burned you will have to find out what the cause of that fire. But the rest was because the firefighters had no water.
Yes, we know that. But what I'm saying is, what you know what I mean. What started the whole
Yeah,
thing?
something started the fire, yes, but it might have been one house, maybe two, if the fire service had not been moved from Providence Street within walking distance of the fire. If the firemen on duty were trained and senior enough to operate in that situation. We know all of these things happen. So when they're talking about investigation, if they don't have enough information, I will provide them with some. I have some. Because the men were there trying to put on their kit in the road while the house was burning. They couldn't get them on because they were panicking. Fellas can't get any pants.
But as people are saying, are writing here that they should, whoever is responsible should resign.
Yes.
Whatever the reason for the fire, the point is this: that all of that digitization should be finished by now. You should not,
Exactly.
it should be finished. You are. This is what you said that you're going to do and that you're doing. You had people, you claim working on it, and Mr. Franklin, it was only at the end of May that someone was telling me about just how the bad working practices and etc. Management practices at the archives, And I asked them, I said, would you want to come on the show to talk about it? And they said to me that they were scared. But what I'm saying is that people know that they've been, the management is wrong. It's either the person who is the manager now needs to be fired, the minister in the ministry, and the minister of culture. Something has to be done.
Yes,
But
I
they
agree.
believe that they could do something like this, cry on television for us to be now sorry for you, because that what is done was wrong, and so you come to cry, right? So that people will be
Well,
sorry for you.
Marcia,
Yes.
could I interject here?
Yeah.
Have you ever in your time known the Prime Minister admit responsibility for anything yet?
No.
Okay. The worst I've said,
But
we
you
didn't
can't
always
even
get
check the archives now.
but jeez. No, but I'm serious about that. She's always the victim, but she's never accepted that kind of responsibility. And therefore, I think that might be key as to why Minister Knight, Monroe Knight was crying, because she know the way it will fall on her. It will be her seen as her responsibility while she has a supervisor. And in addition to that, as to the question of the probe and the investigation, I don't think it should be an internal, intra-departmental defense. I think outsiders with expertise should be brought in to do a special, because that's a special place. And therefore, there'll be less opportunity for the findings and the results to be controlled and compromised. I think we should have some outside forces, outside persons with, like I say, expertise, who can add value and credibility to the investigation.
Look, let me do something. Do not, if they don't have that investigation that you're asking for, Glenn, it's going to be another sham. You remember when the last fella escaped from the prison? Remember him? The minister got up there and he was blustering all over the place and pomposetting and saying, oh, there's going to be an investigation because no two doors should be open at the same time. What the minister forgot or didn't want to tell the public is that the prison is locked by electricity and the power went off, and the second-hand generator that they bought didn't work. So all the doors open, and we have such nice prisoners that stay there, only one fellow left. But he knows that. So he want to give the impression. So we are just about impressions.
Yeah. Somebody said one must remember that the prison was burned under this prime minister's tenure, right? It seemed like fire seems to follow her.
She can't be trusted.
But the thing about it, and Mr. Thorne said it in Parliament, he said that it told them they need to understand that the people do not trust them. So they could come out, they could all of this here now. It just, the people Well, yes, yes, a woman is crying, and we're supposed to be, sad because a woman is crying. But because they have done so much to the Barbadian public, people don't trust her. There's something about it. They're going to look at that and laugh because we are tired of the pretending. So that's why people are laughing. But this whole thing about the fire, I would like to know what happened to those people's homes at Wellington Street, that first home. And here he goes again. He seems to be around everything bad that is happening as well. They all just need to go.
He
You
has
know,
this reverse Midas. It seems as though Abrams got reverse Midas, Midas, everything he touches turns to gold. Well,
yeah,
everything he touches turns to you know what? Might be brown, but not gold.
yeah. The thing is, this is who is responsible. If this happened in America, whichever other country, that person would have to be fired. And these ministers are minister in, because this would not be the prime minister, because she needs to, this should fall right in her lap. She has too many ministries, so that she can't. How would she be able to do all of this? But let me just thank Mr. John. I know I asked her to come on for a few minutes. She has family stuff doing. Mr. John, what's your final comments before we go?
Well, I think it's important that we as Barbadians, we have to remain vigilant and, of course, to ensure that persons are held accountable for their actions. If there was any breaches in the security, if there was any breaches that may have caused what has occurred, if there was a lapse in time to get those kinds of documents digitized, persons have to be held accountable. So once the probe is done, and we are hoping that this probe is transparent as possible so that it does not have any kind of political influence in it, so that persons understand that there is a sense of accountability in this country. We have a society where people, especially those ministers, are not being held accountable for their actions. It seems as if, we're paying them to make grave errors, poor judgment in character, but at the same time, we are still paying their salary. So it's very important that Barbadians hold them accountable and ensure that very soon that we should be hearing from the Prime Minister on what has occurred and what is the steps and procedures that will be done in the next few weeks.
Yes, thank you so much,
You're most
Mr.
welcome.
John, and it's a
Good
pleasure
evening.
having you. Thank you so
Good
much.
evening. Thank you.
God
Take
bless.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Mr. Franklin and others, it's been said that it's the registry records those records were destroyed, and someone sent me something here, and that says the registry records typically refer to documents related to the administrative and financial affairs of a parish or church congregation. In the context of Barbados historical archives, the administrative records, these may include minutes of meetings where decisions were made regarding local governance, church affairs, and the community issues. They provide insights into the organizational structure and management of the parish. The financial records are those these encompass accounts, budgets, and transactions involving parish funds, donations, and expenditures. They offer a glimpse into the economic activities and financial management of the parish over time. Social and cultural insights. The registry records often contain information about local customs, community events, interactions. I lost my place there. Give me a moment. Sorry. Community events and interactions among parishioners. They document social dynamics, religious practices, and community initiatives within that parish. And they go on to talk about what are legal and property matters, documents related to land transactions, property ownership, and legal disputes may also be included. These records can provide historical context on land use, ownership patterns, and legal issues affecting the parish. In summary, registry records are valuable for understanding the social, economic, and administrative history of a parish or community. Their loss in the fire at the Department of Archives in Barbados represents a significant setback, for preserving the cultural and historical heritage of the island. I just thought I would read that.
One thing you must realize though is that they can't blame Ninja Man. He's in jail.
Blame who?
Ninja Man.
Ninja Man, yes.
You know, they say that he took up Barrow stuff. Ninja Man was a fundamental. Well, he invented that building. Not that building, that a compound with 24-hour security and cameras and all kind of thing. And then where's the tape? But we know I think him now because I think he's on remand.
Yeah.
So I'll find somebody else. And I was here, I was pressing, and when I heard the lightning and thunder, I plugged the plug and I pressed in the morning. So it wasn't me either.
The last thing I'll say on this here is, as Noel is saying, all of this information about what's going on in Barbados, what are the Barbadian voters going to do? And that's where it comes down to. There is, if those of you who are listening from the government, because I know you listen, you need to let them know that there's a deep distrust for the government of this country. There's a deep distrust. Somebody got was that Heather? The probably New York sirens coming through. There's a deep distrust, and that is why, yes, we will say it again, that the reports, the official reports, is that it's lightning, that the place was struck by lightning. That's what they said, but just so you know that a lot of people they don't believe. They don't believe, because there are just so many issues, so many things we've been told, and it's not so. So there's a deep distrust, and you need to go back and let them know that. Yes, Mr. Franklin, what's on your mind tonight? What else is on your mind?
Well, I have two things that I wanted to talk about. One is something that bothers me every day I get in my car and drive down the road, and I will deal with that first, and then I will talk about discipline in the public service and where it is not done, because it's hardly ever done properly. You know, sometimes when you're driving your vehicle and you would see a car driving toward you, you see it, the outside is almost dark, and the person is saying, well, their argument is that it is 6 o'clock yet. The law doesn't say that you have to turn on the lights at 6 o'clock. It says you have to light up at night. And at night means different things for different times of the year. Like, for instance, in between January and April, night means 6:30 p.m. and the one in the evening to the following morning at 5. That's night. January to April. Then between May to August, night is 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. the following day. And then between September and December, all these dates are inclusive. All these months are inclusive. And between September and December, night is 6 p.m. to 5 a.m. So the lights come on at different times. So people don't turn. People driving the place, lights and won't turn on the lights because they feel it is 6 o'clock yet. But it is not necessary. It doesn't necessarily have to be 6 o'clock. You turn on the lights when it says get dark. Or when but common sense will say, but even if it is 6 o'clock, outside overcast and things, it's only light for people to see. You don't stick like some petulant fool decided, well, it is 6 o'clock and I turn on my light. But that is one problem I have. But the other problem is with the traffic lights, especially the one I come to by the university. When you come up here by university, I come across Oxnard's Road. And I dare not move when the traffic light goes on green. Because when it goes on green, you will see a container truck, a few cars passing through the light. Mine is on green. And I go wait till these people decide they can feel like stopping. And something has to be done about that before they kill somebody, you know. And again, when the lights turn to amber, people speed up because they want to get through the lights before it gets to red. Okay, red means stop. and you cannot go past the line in the road. You know where, there's a line. It says if it says red, or if the line is not visible, then you don't go past the light itself. That's for red. Green means that you can go on and turn left or right, as the case may be. But amber means you must stop. Amber means stop, unless it will be dangerous to do so. So if the light changes to amber and you are too close to the line to stop, then you go on. But you don't speed up when you see it changing and rushing all up to get through the lights. We see it being done by police vehicles. We see it being done by a lot of MP vehicles. We see it done by vehicles owned by these construction companies. These people transporting cement, container trucks, little cars. Everybody does it. Even old men. I saw a fellow here, when I look at him, I thought it was one of a young boy. Fellow had greater mind. They don't have any regard for what the rules say. Somehow, I believe, though, however, that some might believe that amber means get ready to do something. No, it means stop. And I'm taking my information from the World Traffic Regulations. Not that I am coming up with this out of my head. You know, Marcia, I like to source my information. And it says here, I think it's 112. The significance of light signals prescribed by paragraph 2 regulation 109 or by regulation 111 shall be as follows. A red signal is a prohibition that vehicular traffic shall not be permitted to proceed beyond the stop line on the carriageway, provided in conjunction with the signals, or if the line is not for the time being visible, or there is no such line beyond the signal. And then it says that's with red. Green, it says a green signal indicates that vehicular traffic may be permitted to pass the signals and proceed straight or on or to the left or to the right. So green means go. However, an amber signal is a prohibition that vehicular traffic shall not be permitted to proceed beyond the stop line, or if that line is not for the time being visible, or there is no such line beyond the signal, except in the case of any vehicle which, when the signal first appears, is so close to the line or the signal that it cannot safely be stopped before passing the line or signal. That is what the law requires us to do. Somebody can kill somebody, because we have fools that move off because he is right. But you could be dead right. So whenever I come to that junction I just told you about, I stop. And people are blowing. I said, but you can pass and go along, but I ain't going to let them fella stop. Because it just drive through. It happens all the time. And especially with the ZRs coming across there. The ZRs, there are line of ZRs at the back. So a fellow drives very slowly. And when it turns to amber, he speeds up. So he traps the other vehicles behind him. And who tells he do that? Because if I said for truth, I should have gone through there and they're still going. So then you see 2 and 3 ZRs rushing, going through the lights, even on red. So something has to happen because they're gonna kill somebody. And I don't want anybody dying senselessly on the roads for something as silly as this. Stop when the light says stop. Stop when the light says it goes on amber. Unless it is too dangerous to do so, to stop when it's on amber, you proceed. Other than that, you stop. Amber means stop. Red means stop.
Marcia, if I might just add to Caswell, Caswell's making a very important point. As a matter of fact, Latin Times used to be considered so important in Barbados at one time that they used to publish in the newspaper daily. I think it was under the weather forecast, where they had actual light. They were stated as part of the news so people would know what time is the Latin time. But in addition, you might be too young to know this, Caswell. There used to be there used to be persons who go around where they had gas lamps around the city, etc., and light the actual gas lighters when they will go around the street and actually light those gas lamps many years ago. It used to be quite a sight to see them turn these lights on. That's part of your local folklore for you.
Thank you, Mr. Murray, I tell you. But thank you so much, Mr. Franklin. And I said, wow, this show we give offer all kinds of advice and education on here. So tonight was safety. Mr. Franklin, you said that there was an
But the discipline, the Constitution of Barbados, Section 94 to be precise, gives the president the power to discipline public officers. Section 94 says, subject to the provisions of this Constitution, power to make appointments to public offices and to remove and to exercise disciplinary control over persons holding or acting in such offices is hereby vested in the Governor General, no President, acting in accordance with the advice of the Public Service Commission. Now, if you are subject to the Public Service Commission, then the only body who can dismiss you is the President of Barbados. The President, because she has the power, she had made but not she, but the Governor General at the time, 1978, made regulations. Because I have the power, so I made the regulations. They were called the Public Service Regulations. The Service Commission Public Service Regulations 1978. Those regulations still remain in force, but they have superimposed a Public Service Act on them that speaks to that also speaks to a disciplinary process. That disciplinary process has now given the power to other people, but those people that give the power was Parliament. In order for Parliament to take away a power of the Governor General under the Constitution, then it will have to have gone and amended the Constitution to do so. But they didn't, because as a matter of fact, when that act was passed, the last piece of legislation was passed in 2007. The Barbados Labour Party was in power. It was their last couple of days in office. And the Thompson was smelling blood in the water, and he didn't want to wait around for any changes, so he walked out. But he tired of that nonsense. He want elections. And so they did not have enough people to amend the Constitution. What those rules have done, they have taken up some of the procedures in the casual employees, disciplinary procedures, who were not public officers and could have been disciplined by the permanent secretary or a person who was a grade or two above you as a non-civil servant, because we had in those days, we had casual employees and public employees. Public employees were full-time people, but they weren't appointed by the Governor General in those days. So they took some of the procedures there to simplify the rules, and they came up with their own chimera. And why this is so dangerous is because, one, I don't think they have the power to do so, but they did. And people are now abusing those powers.
Okay.
Also, now going back, in 1974, there's something called the Delegation of Functions, Public and Police Services, Miscellaneous Provisions Order 1974. Well, then remember I told you that the president has power to discipline people. And that power is not really exercised by her. She don't investigate nothing and do anything. People do the investigation, and then she acts on the advice of his Service Commission. But the president now, under Section 95 of the Constitution, has the right to delegate that power to other people to exercise on her behalf. For instance, the appointments to certain posts in the public service can be made by the chairman of the Public Service Commission. You see much power you almost out of it taking that job? Supernumerary teachers and temporary teachers are subject to the Chief Education Officer.
Yeah.
Disciplinary control and respect of persons acting in or appointed to the post of prison officer, the superintendent of prisons. Now we have a situation where civilian staff now in the prison, because these people don't read and don't understand, they get some power and they don't that check to see the extent of their power. They are calling people to disciplinary meetings. They call them in the prison orders. But they have no authority whatsoever to discipline civilian staff. And also, the superintendent of prison is the person who the power was delegated to. It wasn't delegated to his assistant. It wasn't delegated to the chief officer or anybody else for that matter. So the president delegates the power to you, and you can't turn around and get to somebody else. Like I can give an example. The power to discipline police officers, policemen below the rank of inspector is vested in any gazetted officer acting in accordance with provisions of the Police Discipline Regulation 1961, right? So it says any gazetted officer, but it doesn't say so for other people in the public service, like prisons and the fire service. It only says the fire chief or the superintendent of prisons. But these people decide, oh, I can't be bothered with that. And they delegate people below them to carry a function that the president has bestowed on them, to the exclusion of everybody else. Because if the president wanted to give that power to somebody else other than the head of the department, other than the chief, she would have done like how they did for the police and said any gazetted officer. But no, at the prisons now we have army people who come into the prison and think they're in the army and go up there, rough them up, prison officers, and calling them to this or what they call orders. It has to stop. They are breaching the rules, and but they actually have doing a lot of prison officers are getting sick. I'm talking about the stress that they're putting them under. And I'm not talking about making it up, because when they go to the doctor, they press it through the roof because of the nonsense that are going up there. I know that they turn on the civilian staff, right? So they don't have the power, but they're using it, and nobody is stopping them. Just recently, I had to write the Director General to complain about a personnel officer who was giving up warning letters. A warning is a punishment. You can't punish anybody unless you first go through a process, a disciplinary process. But she's dishing out warning letters left, right, and center. I asked the Director General to train those people before they unleash them on an unsuspecting public service. Because these people go out there, they go to Carefield, they learn a few things, but they don't learn the rules in Barbados. They learn a lot of crap. And then they come up there and make people's lives miserable. And people think that they have the power. That's the problem. When I first came into the public service, they put me in a room and set me down with people and teach me what they needed to know. They don't do that now. Before I was an immigration officer when I first started, they took me in. Then policemen used to be immigration officers, and they took us to the district police station, and they teach us everything we need to know to be an immigration officer. They teach us about the general orders, they teach us about the public service regulations, and they even show us what marijuana smell like. And they said, yeah, you know that, because you smell all the time, I know what it was. They burn some for us and that thing, but we get to learn. Know what they do. They bring somebody else and put them alongside the valley and say, you train him or you tell him what to do. So if that person was doing it wrong, he trains somebody, and that person now can only do what he is taught, so he's doing the wrong thing. And then worse yet, he now trains somebody else. So that continues in the public service. We have to draw a line under this nonsense and stop, because the public service is being destroyed by a lot of people who they bring in and impose them at the top. They don't have any skills. Basically, not in human resource management, in resourcing, in public service rules. But they are in charge. And as a result, you have a very nervous public service.
Wow.
The rules that were made by the president should be the only rules unless you amend the constitution to take away that power from or to share it with the president. But no such legislation has ever been put on the books. They put it on the books, but they can't legally put it on the books because they have to do certain things. Any legislation that's going to amend or alter the constitution the legislation must say this amends or alters the constitution, and it has to be passed by a 2/3 majority in both houses of parliament. That act that set up the new regime for discipline in public service did not do so. Right? We have a situation where the chief education officer, she is out there discipline and really starting the disciplinary process, investigating people, but she has absolutely no power to do so, even under the old rules or the new ones. But she's using the new ones, and I remember I had a situation where she's given evidence, and I said to her, where do you get the power to do this from? She said, there's a regulation. She didn't know which regulation. I said, well, I asked the chairman, can I assist her? So I said, I read the regulation that I think she was talking about, regulation 4.2 of the court. And I said to her, it says the permanent secretary, head of the department shall, within 14 days of becoming aware. She said, oh, yes, that's it. I said, good. So you're the chief education officer. So are you also the permanent secretary? She says, no. Of course, I asked foolish questions because they want to get me. She said, I'm not the permanent secretary. I said, okay, good. That means that you have to be the head of the department because it said the permanent secretary or head of the department. So I might foolishly ask, so which department you're head of? She and then. And I said, well, I got a list here on the app that says who are the department heads. And I searching right through this thing and I see you. But, having that in place, she still trying to out and bring cases against other people since then,
Wow.
I don't understand. Right now, she has suspended a teacher but on full pay, which means that she should be paying in that money to the treasury because the government has made a loss because of her stupidity. And there's a section in the rules where you can be surcharged. If you cause the government to lose money, you can be required to pay it back. Because she is exercising powers that she does not have. She can't suspend anybody. But she's doing it. And also with these things, teachers are not employees of any school board. And we have had instances where the board calling teachers and let them have it. The board has absolutely no authority to call in any teacher and to tell them, to threaten them, to talk to them, do anything. They do not work for the board. The ancillary staff, the secretary treasurer, the people who clean the school, the guards, the watchmen, the lab assistants, and those people, they work for the board. But not a single teacher works for any board. The problem comes because the chief education officer can recruit temporary teachers. And of course, the chief education officer cannot be there going to recruit temporary teachers at every school. So they delegate that power to certain people to act on their behalf, to do the interviewing process, but not the appointment. The chief still has to make the appointment. But the board's coming in now and start appointing people. But they don't have that power. They can only deal with the ancillary staff. I remember I had to deal with the chairman of a school board because he called in a teacher and she told me she wanted me to come to me. I said, I'm not coming in the meeting to discuss anything with him. He ain't got the power to do that. And she was so nervous. She told me, well, at least write them. I said, okay, I'm going to write. So I wrote him and I said, you were flowing past your nest. And he took offense. He told me, he realized it, but I had to tell you, fly past your nest. You know, he next behind, you know, and he go, but they don't see powers that they don't train them. And you have situations where people exercising power that they do not have. You know, and a lot of teachers get frightened for the boards. The teachers ain't got to pay them the money. They don't work for them. Teachers are public officers. Only the president can terminate a teacher, an appointed teacher.
Oh, wow.
You know, but we have board people call them and terrorizing teachers. I'll give another anecdote. A day a principal called me and said that he has to meet with the board because the teachers union, the REDMAN'S union, they made a complaint for him because he decided that this particular temporary teacher will not come back to school because he was threatening the students and he promised to drive his car over a couple of them. I think he decided, well, he back there. And of course, the teacher ran to his union. Union came and they complained for the principal. So I sat down there and went through a big long spiel coming from the union. And I said, listen, why we don't have to answer anything they're telling because you don't have a power over the principal. It goes to the board. And I tried to point the rules. So the president of the union, that union said, but we've been doing this for 30 years. I said, you've been doing it for 30 years wrong. And she said, but it's a custom and practice. So I said, dear Lord, let me explain custom and practice to you. In order for a custom and practice to have validity, it must first be legal. You are doing something illegal, so don't mind how many times you do it. It will not have any force of law. You can't rely on it. I said, let me cite an example for you. I'm a murderer. I kill people. And I've been killing people for years. So this particular time now, the last fellow I killed, the police catch me. My defense cannot be, why they killing people all the time and they never hold me? So the meeting got adjourned at that point, and they never got it back in the session. And that principal has since retired and all kind of stuff. But everybody is doing it wrong, up to and including the unions. So when the unions, they know what they're doing, and they allow the people to mistreat their members because they do not take time out to learn and follow the rules.
Yeah. But you know what is so good? What is so good about this show, and people say it all the time, is what Heather, what we are learning. Because listen to Mr. Franklin, I'm learning so many things, and I think some of these persons, these employees, and these managers, and these, I don't think it's a case where some of them, it's just that they don't know, they don't realize, as you said, somebody fly past the nest, they don't know where the nest is. And this is good information here tonight, Mr. Franklin. Thank you so much.
What I want people to remember, public officers who are listening, remember the Delegation of Functions, Public and Police Service Commission, Miscellaneous Provisions Order 1974. It was SI number 122 of 1974. All right? Get that, read it, understand what it is saying, because it will help you when people come and stepping down the line, stepping over the crease with a bat in the air. You could stamp them. They don't have that power. Read the general orders, read the Public Service Act, and read. I make them. I make the comments of copies and loose leaf things. So I back them. This is the the Public Service Regulations 1978. Public officers need to know that these things exist.
Yes.
And that their terms and conditions of service are all bound up in these particular documents.
Yes.
If they just took the time out, and also the Constitution, because the public service is protected by the Constitution. And if you take some time, because right now you can find almost all of them online, and if you don't find them online, I will share them with you. I don't want to keep them myself, and I think I will share them with anybody who wants them.
Yeah.
But it is good to know these things, simply because then they won't be able to pull the wool over your eyes. And we have a habit in this country of, if you don't know, we can fool you.
Right. And this is why I said to that people, those who are listening from the government, please take the message back and take it clear. that the government is not trusted, not trusted. And that is why all this whole thing about this fire and all of that, people are just like, we're not believing it. Even though we hear the official reports, and we have to keep reporting that these are just our ideas and our opinions. The official report says that a lightning struck the archive, and all of Section D got destroyed, etc., etc. We hear that, but there are lots of people in the public who are not believing. Let me welcome Kimar. Welcome, Kimar. How are you doing?
All right, good night, Marcia. Good night, Caswell, Heather,
Good
Mr.
night.
Glenn Murray, and all of the members of the loyal opposition.
Yes,
Yes,
welcome.
Marcia, how are you doing?
Great, 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 great.
Yeah.
Yes, we were here talking about. I know you came to talk. You have something else on your mind, but I'm asking everybody where they were when when the archive was burning. Were you in your bed, or were you up already, Kimar?
I was probably still asleep, but I guess there were some other people roaming the earth. I don't know somebody who to say down the lit link to strike out of all places the archives. I mean, we have much more evil people, and we have much more places where evil are being done in Barbados. So, all places that don't think the Lord was straight the archives. But you know how things go.
Yes, but as somebody
All places
says,
that don't think the Lord was straight the archives.
well, we don't know. These are just our ideas, and people are sharing their opinions, which they are free to do, and their thoughts. And we keep saying it's not what we're saying. It's not official. The official report has been given, and they said that they're going to do an investigation. But what's on your mind tonight, Kimar?
I wanted to touch a bit on this issue of the. I wanted to touch on the issue of the archives.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in the sense that the records of Barbados, the history of Barbados, um, has been burnt. And I don't think we recognize the horror story that something like that is, where you have to go by the word of the government. No, you can't go and check back the historical records to see the truth,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you burn the truth, and we have a situation where students at UE who had to use the archives for to do courses and stuff, those are disadvantaged. Um, Independent investigators, historians, people who want to have an accurate record, um, that is no longer there. And I was saw in the news that they destroyed some of the records for the land ownership. Right? So how ironic could it be that Barbados is now selling out completely all the lands? And I will say by Mr. Lewis, you have people who believe that they own the rocks out in the sea, right? All types of strange behaviors are happening with land, and poof, out of the blue, we are being told that the archives, which would house these original ownership documents to show who owned the original plantations. I'm not sure if everybody knows that Barbados was divided up into plantations, right? But to show who would own the original deeds along with some of the other lands around the place, all of those are destroyed,
Hmm.
right? So if you do not have any records to show who would have owned these things, then the government could become tyrannical and step in and bulldoze and run over people and take up all types of land that, because as far as I know, all plots of land in Barbados had an original owner.
Mm-hmm.
There was no such thing as crown lands or state lands, is what they're calling it. No, that became a modern day practice, but all of it had private ownership, right? And the records which will show that ownership all back in the years have now been destroyed. Right? So that is a very dangerous place to be in. In the midst of tyranny, in the midst of liars, in the midst of thieves, in the midst of crooks, in the midst of land theft, and you have a set of people who we don't trust. And I was blown away by this drama piece which was performed by this minister here that we see. Right? Crying on TV, blown away. No, I I try not to be harsh, right? But I don't see the reason for the drama. I don't see the reason for the tears. As far as I know, the archives was there almost non-existent as a conversation. If this particular minister cares so much about the archives, how come the building wasn't upgraded? How come no investment was put aside to help upgrade the archives to ensure that it is preserved? Right? You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the prison. When the prison of Barbados burned under that government at the time, and I think the current prime minister was the attorney general at the time when the prison burned down.
Yes, that's true.
Right? So this reminds me of when the prison burned. So what we might be seeing now was an opportunity to destroy those records, but we're also seeing now is an opportunity to spend some more money. So to rebuild an archive, they're gonna come and say another $60 million to rebuild that. Could bet you. Right. But I would digress over to you now.
But Key Marco, it's interesting what you're saying. You're saying that Barbadians need to think about how is it going to affect me. And as someone said, that everything now will be left up to the administration. We would not have, as Bali saying, all the facts now will be left up to them to determine. Will depend on the administration saying yea or nay as it relates to, if titles were involved. I don't know if land titles were involved and all of that, and land documents relating to people's land. I wish you could break that down a little bit, Kimar, of what it is you're really saying. If how, give us some examples of how we could actually affect the regular Barbadian. And while you're thinking about that, if Dave would put back the look, I wanted us to look at, I don't know if I'm reading too much into this, but what Heather or somebody else, as Kimar is thinking, or Kimar as well. This is Kimar's segment. Kimar, this look at Abram's face. What is he? He's looking at her. Look, what is his face really telling you?
What is this woman really saying? What is she doing? Like, what is she on TV doing? It? I could just see it all over Abram's face. Like,
right.
Oh Lord, I was like, me, I can't believe you sent me here to go stand and watch this. It was just disastrous.
Right, he was looking at her like, come on, please.
Come on, yeah, just, oh my God, just give it up. Just talk. That's what I saw on his face.
Tell me something though. Where's the Prime Minister? Is she here?
Yeah.
No, I think she was last night because she's supposed to have taken part in a radio cricket show with Gonzalez.
You could do that on the internet, man.
But I understand she was here.
Because Glenn, another thing, you were a minister. You remember when you were
well, we're hearing you a little lower than normal, Mr. Franklin. But
I was saying Glenn was a minister, so he could say, Caswell, you're talking rubbish, or Caswell, you're correct. So I can put myself in Glenn's hand. You remember any time before where the Prime Minister, if you can't, you don't tell them about anything?
No, as a matter of fact, I've often reflected whenever the Prime Minister was traveling, certainly Prime Minister Arthur and Adams, they themselves will submit a cabinet paper to get the cabinet's approval. They never just took off and said, well, I go on, I catch back your sort out. It went through the same formal process any other minister to get cabinet's approval. But no, apparently those rules don't apply anymore.
Yeah. But
So
I don't want us to I want to get back to Kimar. This fire that the government, the reports from the government is saying that it was started. Is that Heather's thing? Somebody's mic. Was started by lightning. That's what we are told. And we are here just making, giving our opinions of what we think might, whether we agree or don't agree. That's just us. We don't know, and we've been saying that this is our opinion, and we're entitled to have it. But Kimar, can you break down for me how someone listening to the program? Can you explain to them give them examples of how it would affect them in their day-to-day living?
Mhm. Well, before I get into that, I wanted to respond to something you mentioned. Um, it was that they were saying that lightning started this fire, right? No, I'm no contractor. I'm no builder. Nothing like that. But common sense would say to you that if lightning is striking a building, right? Uh, what are the chances of the lightning coming down and either striking the wall and causing a whole fire? What are the chances of the lightning hitting the roof and the roof catching a fire? Right? Because from what I saw, it didn't look like the place burned from the roof. Right?
It burnt
The
from the record.
lightning would have, pardon?
It burnt from the records.
Good. So you're saying to me that the lightning strike right through the roof, right through the ceiling, and hit the records directly, and the records also flammable would just catch at the strike a lightning. You would have had to had something to ignite that fire, and the lightning would have had to strike an electricity cord or so, or something electric for it to be able to catch fire if existing fumes were not already in the space, or a gas leak or something that would help the fire to do that, right? And I'm not no chemist or no scientist or no biologist or be able, but common sense would tell the common man, Rick Mercer, that you
Right.
need something to ignite, right?
Well,
But
let me just hasten to say that this, as we've been saying, these are our thoughts based on what we've heard, and Kimar is entitled to share his thoughts. These are his thoughts, because we don't know. We are still waiting. They said they're going to investigate Kimar, but we're just sharing our thoughts. So continue.
Marcel, if I may just jump in here quickly. One report I heard say that the lightning tore off the galvanized sheets from the roof.
The lightning tore off the roof.
Yeah, it tore off the galvanized sheets from the roof.
Wow.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard it said as part of one of the reports.
Interesting.
That lightning had a claw hammer.
Okay. So the lightning, according to Mr. Murray, one report that he heard is that the lightning tore off the roof. As we said, they're doing
the galvanized sheet, which might have been a conductor.
The galvanized sheets, and then
so that might be the conductor of the same electricity that is contained in lightning.
Okay.
But then there should have been a lightning rod to conduct that electricity straight into the earth.
Yeah, what we used to call lightning conductors in those days. That was the term, lightning conductors next to houses and important buildings and whatnot. Yeah. Maybe that's too old-fashioned for these days of digitization.
No. Yeah. Every one of those high-rise buildings everywhere in the world, but several of them coming right down the side of the building into the ground. You see them buildings going to the sidewalk.
From the very top, from the very highest point of the roof, it goes down, yeah.
Boy, I tell you, if this is really lightning and the lightning tore off the galvanized roof and all that, this is a spiritual matter. These people are fighting. There's something bigger than them that they're fighting. But go ahead, Kimar. This is a serious lightning to tear off the roof, and then, I mean, this is spiritual warfare here. Kimar, but Kimar was answering my question.
Right. So how does it affect the average Barbadian? But for land, dormant land that has no owner, or probably the owner died and they didn't have any children, a lot of those land records, or the owners of those land records, would have been in the archives, right? Original documents to prove ownership of these lands.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since these documents no longer exist, or the government, unless they exist in another space, it could be court records. You never know if some of the court records were in there. We don't know exactly what was in there, right? But they just gave a broad uh thing and said that land records and stuff were destroyed. So if those records no longer have a paper trail to show ownership, then the government could just take it up, right?
Mm,
And just and sell it and give it to owner,
In all fairness,
right?
though, Kimar, they can do that now, even without that.
But
It's called
yeah,
compulsory
well they
acquisition.
could do it. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's called compulsory acquisition. And
Right.
and for land that didn't have an owner prior to the 1899 a sheet act, if you didn't have an heir, it went to the crown. And then that act was repealed by the Succession Act, which allow you the Succession Act of 1975, which allowed the land to go to your children and every other children, to your brothers and the brothers. It goes all the way down as long as you can find a connection. So it's very difficult now not to find an owner. Once before, you had to have an heir. If you didn't have an heir, like for instance, if your father was not married to your mother, you were not his heir. And then the land, you had to go out and apply to the crown for a waiver of crown rights, because the crown rightly owned that land. That went out in 1975, and with the Succession Act. But you can always now find an owner, as long, and if you are on the land, like those people who Sajikor was trying to get off the Rasta family, they were trying for years. But I was on this program saying many times, they were there for more than 10 years. They would have had rights of adverse possession. And the court fined for them after 40 some odd years they were there without permission. They wouldn't box them boy for lodging the body and tell them to go on and go there. So it's not, they will find, you will always find an owner.
But remember, Caswell, that you heard Ryan Strong saying that the government was looking to form a digital land registry where they would have been putting all of the government land into this new digital register where you gotta go and sign up. So this facilitates the process. Right?
But
So
Kimar, for
yes, sir.
completeness, isn't there already an existing land registry?
Mhm.
If so, what role does that play?
Well, when you look at historical records, like you have lands in Barbados that have modern day owners, right?
Right,
However, when you go and you check the archives and you trail back a couple of years, you see that these lands had owners that are not quite the owners now, without sales happening,
right. Hmm.
right? So for any good banker or for any good investor, people who want to invest large money, you have to have a clear deed of ownership for property to be able to invest in it, right? So any country across the world that cannot produce clear title deeds to ownership, right? You're gonna have challenge in terms of receiving investment.
No,
So
but Kimar, in all fairness, if you are on land, you don't have any rights to that land, but you were on it long enough, you can apply to the court and you get what they call a registrar's conveyance. That is good title. It's probably the best title you can get. And unless you can show that there was some fraud, I think the title is good. And a lot of people, because remember Violet Beckles, a lot of people got her land. And when they did searches on them, she owned 33 lots in Well Road, KFL. And people went, because she didn't know that she owned them, went and titled them. And I only know of one case where the judge caught them and told them, ran them out of court. Earl Chase, when he was doing the case, well, the person was trying to rob this old woman. And as a matter of fact, my research, I handed over to Winston, and he was able then to go and get rents from some of the other people remaining there for the estate of the young lady. But the people who went and get title, they got the title to the land, to the exclusion of the people who already own it. There's always a way to carry well land of Barbados legally.
Yeah. So, Kimar, continue what you were saying, please.
Well, Caswell is right. There is a means and way to do stealing. It happens, and it's probably happening right now, and it's being made much easier, Caswell, where you can remove history now, right? So let's just say 200 years from now, if Caswell Franklin owned the entire parish of St. James, and the records today shows that Caswell Franklin owned 200, well, he owned the whole of St. James. 50 years from now, the whole archives burned down. There's no historical record to show that Caswell Franklin ever occupied the land of St. James within Barbados in the archives. So then anybody at any point in time with the assistance of the government could say that they were the original landowners and not Caswell Franklin. Right?
I'll give you a little insight also. You know, we were a colony, and a lot of our records were sent to England that are in the archives in England. I remember a lot of the, like even the GIS material, they were in English. They were in the English archives, and I remember David Simmons was Attorney General. He went there, what them, he brought up on them, and he was able to get access to them. So we can probably still go that way if people are willing, because we had a duty. Even all the, like, for instance, you know, the records of the stipendiary magistrates used to go there and lock up the black people, I think, around the country just after slavery. All the records are in England.
Wow. Yeah. Somebody wrote here, and I can't help but read it. These people are so creative. I tell you, Bajans are the most creative. Did anyone notice the emotional void in the eyes of Monroe Knight's co-star when she proceeded to weep and he reluctantly squeezed her on the shoulder? Give him the Worst Supporting Actor award. No, you know, guys, this is, I know we're laughing, but it really not, it's not a joke situation. Mr. Murray, your mic is open.
Yeah, it's open now. Yeah, you wanted me to come in?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were ready. You were going to comment on.
Well, I can. I was thinking that as a result of the discussion, I think for me personally to take this whole incident seriously and any attempt of the government to come clean with the public on it, I think Minister Abrams, as Minister of Home Affairs with the Police Service, with the public, with the Fire Service, should give a ministerial statement from the floor of the House. Give as much information as it has, saying what they intend to do and how they proceed on it, and name in public a collection of persons who are supposed to carry it on in public, so the public exactly knows who is involved and what kinds you can possibly expect. I don't necessarily we can investigate it. I know nobody knows who you can trust, who you can verify whatsoever. I think that's incumbent. That's otherwise these suspicions will always prevail and get worse. So he should make a ministerial statement from the House as much as he knows and how they intend to remedy it thereafter, report, etc., and come back to the House with a report.
Marcy, before we move on from here, I just want to remind the people who are watching that only 284 of them so far have liked the show. So I would be grateful if they would give us a few more likes, because we need you to get the show far and wide. And that will only happen if you like it. So I want, would you please?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Franklin. Please, please, please. It's important. It's important today, and do something extra for us today. We're celebrating 4 years of being on broadcasting for 4 years. Juneteenth is when we started, June 19th. And so today's a special day for us. On the screen here is we have some pictures of the building, the burned building. While we're looking at it, Angela Knight is saying to give the government a chance after any disaster, one must give persons a chance. Not sure what she means by that. You mean for an investigation, Angela? Yes. They're going to investigate. In the meantime, I think that we can still ask some questions and we can still share our opinions. I don't know. I'm not on here. 1 second, Mr. Franklin, trying to say I know what has happened. I don't know what has happened, but I am just asking questions because it doesn't sound right to me. And I think it's something so important. It's okay for me to ask questions. I can't make statements because I don't know. But I have to ask. If we would speak prematurely, if we came on here and we're saying this is what happens, now that is irresponsible. But asking questions, I think it's important that, especially in this climate, that we ask questions, and we can determine whether or not we believe what the woman was saying or doing, or her tears. If it didn't look real to us, it didn't look real. And so some people, it look real to them, that's fine. I think we need to. We've seen too much. Go ahead, Mr. Franklin.
No, I am saying that yes, when there's a disaster, you give people a chance. But we have given this disastrous government chance over chance over chance. This government is a disaster. We can't give a chance. This is the straw that breaks the camel back. They have been putting on disaster after disaster after disaster. So they need to go. They are not doing anything for this country. Right now, this country is in promoting motley mode. That is all they are doing. So what chance they want? To kill us?
Yeah. I mean, she could have felt it, Angela, but I'm just saying that if there are 260,000 persons watched it, there are people who are going to believe her, and then some people don't believe her. There are people who say that what I do, I'm not genuine. They say I'm being paid by the DLP to do what I do, but that's their view. I can't stop them from having their opinion. And so when we come on the show, we'll look at a situation like this. Honestly, when I watched it, it just looks like too much for me. Walking away, you can't speak. No, there's something about it for me that does not. Something is not, and that's why. And others like yourself, you think that you might think, and that's fine. You're entitled to that because you have relationship with her and you might know her. You see what I mean? And that's fine, Angela. Kimar, you were
a lot of people have laughed at Chantal Monroe night. Let me say here and now that I'm one of those people.
I mean, she could have meant it, but I'm just saying that it looked it looked false. So you see what I'm saying? The people say it looked fake.
It is genuine. It is as genuine as a $3 bill.
But that's her prerogative. She felt no, we will change the topic. Angela, you can't tell us to change the topic. We change the topic when we are ready to change the topic.
If I can say,
Yes. Oh,
It looked,
I forgot about you there.
it looked like she was putting on a show for the camera. That's what
And
it
you
looked
were
like to
watching.
me.
You were in New York watching it. Just kidding. Go ahead.
Yes, she was putting on a show.
In your
That's
mind,
all you can
that's
see.
your opinion.
That's my opinion.
That's
Yeah,
your
that's what.
opinion. Right.
That's our opinion.
That's your opinion. Angela has a different opinion, and there are others that have another opinion. Some people watch it and they some people might have watched it and cried with her. You see what I mean? Some people might have felt it so much that they cried with her on a serious note. It's just that there are lots from the time I just got turned off, and it could be don't laugh, Mr. Franklin.
Does let me tell.
But Marcia, Marcia,
Yes,
I think you might recall that last week. I think it was last week, Wednesday, when they spoke of cognitive dissonance.
yeah.
Well, what you're saying now from the public is a demonstration of what happens when people believe and don't believe, have conflicting information. They want to believe, but can't believe because of other prior dissatisfaction and doubts. So you're having cognitive dissonance in people's mind about this whole issue now.
I'm sorry, but I mean, I guess if she was my friend, I would have feel bad too. But I think she, I don't know, she might have felt it, but honestly, I think it came across. Let's say, Kima, we probably should say the way it came across to us, it was a bit much. It was a bit too much. Kima, anything else you want to say on this?
I have no sympathy at this point because when she was asked if she was going to be the candidate for Christchurch South, she was denying it, denying it, denying it, denying it. But still yet, she was up in Oistins and all over Christchurch South and canvassing, intending to be the candidate for the Barbados Party in next government. So from the time she did that, I was done from there. So this now, as Caswell says, takes the
Okay.
cake for me, right? This takes the cake for me, right? And I remember when I spoke to the public contracts register that it was this minister that came to the Senate of Barbados. I tried to rush a procurement amendment in the Senate of Barbados to try to cover up the fact that they did not have those public contracts listed at Kaipo, right? So she does a lot of the Prime Minister's dirty work. So when it came time to lying to the people of Barbados, she was not crying. When it came for time to do the Prime Minister's nasty bidding, she was not crying. When it was time to be in things, putting up right things, and giving away all types of things to be able to swear Christchurch self support for her, she was not crying. So I have no sympathy. Right?
But the other thing too, Kimar. The other thing too is that let me say this here. When I always ask the question, Mr. Murray, I have not, and again, I will always say, you know what, I don't know everything and I don't see everything in the newspaper. Sometimes I'm so busy I don't get to read everything. But I can't remember that when Wellington Street was burning, or after it burned, anybody has ever seen the Prime Minister down there? I didn't see anybody, no minister down there shedding no tears like this. I'm not saying that the archives, there's something else going on with this lady. Why would she be crying? You understand? Or even if she's pretending to cry, is she afraid of someone? Is she afraid that something bad was going to happen to her? Where were the tears for the Wellington Street people? For those persons who where were the tears for that? I don't understand. You understand what I'm saying? That, and the more I think about it, Mr. Murray, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I suspect that part of her being overwrought and so upset because the Prime Minister is the ultimate minister of culture and she works under, she has day-to-day responsibilities. So therefore, I suspect she knew where the hammer was going to fall. She will have to carry that burden. I suspect so because the Prime Minister will not, as far as my observation are concerned, because she has their responsibility. She might have been responsible to make sure that digitalization was complete. Might have been told make sure we have fire resistance, etc. So in final analysis, you have to give the account because your hands are the one supposed to be involved in on a day-by-day basis. Then there's also the whole question of what the Americans call organized spontaneity. You understand the contradiction in terms?
Yes.
That might have been organized spontaneous crime.
Yeah. Wow.
It's possible. You might call it acting, but they rather say organized spontaneity.
Organized spontaneity. But it's just a matter of not having. I did not see, and I would say I did not see. Not even the Prime Minister down at Wellington, something as major. That's a major fire with so many people displaced. And I did not see that happening. I didn't see all of these emotions. Something is off, and that's what the Barbadian people are picking up. Something not adding up somewhere, right?
I just got a WhatsApp message from some person who's watching the show, and it says, Mr. Franklin, in 1976, when I first went to the archives under the Englishman Mr. Michael Chandler and Mrs. Christine Matthews, there were 2 copper strips, lightning rods, on those buildings. I don't know if they are still intact. Imagine the many lightning storms we had since 1976 till now. So this person is giving a witness testimony that there were 2 copper strips running down the buildings to do exactly what he was saying all along. I didn't know that, but I'm taking his word to be correct, because unless somebody stole the copper and you know what I mean, but those buildings should have been even if the copper was stolen, there should be some way of replacing it or finding some other way to secure it. And mind you, down there got watchmen and cameras and dog pongs and all kinds of things down there, but not watchmen. It isn't so easy.
But that question should be subject of the investigation. That question in particular, how come what happened to them?
Right.
That should be a direct issue as part of the investigation.
But this is why I'm saying this discussion is happening, because please, we must realize that we are at the stage where there's so many things have happened. Kimar just outlined to us a whole set of reasons why he doubts her, and here's this man saying that, but we had that on the buildings. We had those lightning rods on the buildings. What has happened to them? It's all of these things. But
read to me in the comment, Marcia. I just love these comments,
Yeah. The thing is that, as Bali said, the ball was dropped. Right, Kimar? The ball was dropped. And it's another situation, again, underneath the minister, the Prime Minister, who is the Minister of Culture. We're missing, let us not forget that, we're laughing at Miss Knight crying, but remember where the decisions are made. It's right there at the Prime Minister, who all of a sudden, before they were saying that Fronda doesn't speak. Now with these matters, this woman, we don't see her. We don't see her. Something as major that will have this lady having a breakdown, and we don't see her. And it's supposed to be her job. Somebody Timmy said pretending to be hurt. Kimar, this is anything you want to say on this section before we close this section?
Right. Well, to be honest, somebody asked where the Prime Minister is. My guess is that you will have to roll the dice to find out which country. Like Scrabble or Monopoly, so you got to roll the dice at whichever The next one, country land on you, make a well guess. Right? So we have to do that. But in all seriousness, we accuse her of being a minister for everything, and we listed about all 8 or 9 ministries that she has. Um, and this is one of them. So I guess it is good that she sent forward some of her no work ministers to try to earn some pay, but oh good grief, man. I don't know what happened there. But for a asset as important as the National Archive, do I believe that the Prime Minister should s- say something, because it is coming across to us as though you're trying to rewrite history, right?
Mm.
Rewrite history. You are trying to change Independence Day to Republic Day. You knock down the old NAS building, right? You're building a Hyatt in Bridgetown, basically, which will rival the Hilton Hotel. Our Barrow's clothes were stolen, right? A lot of prime historical lands, which meant a lot to the country. Even a lot of beaches are being barricaded from the population. So a lot of our history and what we know to be culture is being changed, and here is the opportunity now for them to rewrite the actual history of Barbados, because somebody will get engaged to be able to rewrite these archives. Somebody, right? And who's to say that when they rewrite the archives, they don't rewrite it with a slant, right? So this is something very concerning, and I think we need to pay serious attention to what comes out of this and what actually goes back into it in the case of persons rewriting Barbados's history. And I think that that process needs to be carefully supervised.
Mm. That's what we've been saying from morning, Kimar. You said what was in my heart from morning. I'm wondering. I don't know. So I'm wondering, and I honestly I'm saying I don't know, but it causes when I put all everything together. There's another thing that is bugging me, but I won't say it on here at this moment. But it's something about this is not sitting well. However, we will wait on the investigation, and I'm hoping us asking. We've asked some serious questions on here tonight. I mean, you take Ninja Man, and you're going to tell me that a homeless man stole those artifacts and nobody's able to locate them yet? Did he throw them into the sea? What happened to them? I don't understand. I mean, they must have had, and no, there's no camera to say that he did it. Nobody can prove it. This is what we're living in this thing here, that is not feeling something is off. You see, is when you put it all together, it's not making any sense. Could a lightning have struck the building? I'm sure, because lightnings have done that to different places already. But boy, for the lightning to go and strike that building, we must be under a serious judgment of God. You know what I'm saying, Heather? This has to be real judgment, real spiritual, for this to just single out that section like that when they're.
Joseph Cadogan says that he was there. He said the gentleman is correct. That these rods are still there. He put it in the comments. He was there today. The electing rods are still there. So I tell you, something is awfully wrong. Next thing we can hear that Ninja Man escaped custody and he burned on his bed, and they caught him back. You wait.
Yeah.
And they thought that, you see, this government chooses to say whatever they think will sound good to you. There is no way on God's earth that they can have determined that was a lightning strike unless there was somebody there watching it at the time.
Yeah.
Because you can't see a fire and at the end of the fire say, "Oh, it was a lightning strike." Who you name? It don't work.
Oh.
So there has to be an investigation, and you will see where the damage happened after the fire marshals or what they call them go in. Like for instance, a fireman can tell you when the building burned. He can tell you it was done. It started at this particular point. It had an accelerant. They can do all of that because they know the science of fires. No nincompoop. I mean, no minister can get come up there and determine, oh, it was a lightning strike. He can't know that. You go wait for the investigation. That is somebody just talking off the top of their head.
But you know, Peatway, I tell you, there's something that's going on in my mind about these kinds of happenings in the skies in Barbados, and something is not. And the most I will say is this, Mr. Franklin, do you remember when we had that fire at Wellington Street? Again, these are conspiracy theories, you can call it that, okay? This is just a theory, I have no facts. You know, but when I think about it, I always think of when we were having the trade winds, is when that fire happened at Wellington Street, and I've been waiting to hear what the report is saying after they've investigated every fire. You're supposed to investigate all fires, right? Is that what happened?
Yes.
So the public needs to know what happened to the homes at Wellington Street. How did it start? I want to know that because you know, it would help me to relieve some of the thoughts that's in my head. You know, that's the truth. And then, you know, but anyway, this one this is a mystery. This one is a mystery. But anyway, let's end off tonight. I think we just end off with the songs because we've gone over time already.
But we only have 350 so far, Marcia. So just ask for a few more.
Yes, go ahead and ask.
Marcia. All right. Marcia?
Yes, Heather.
All right, quickly, I just want to say that with regards to all the things that happened in Barbados recently, that with this one, it has crossed my line.
This one is the one that crossed your line. Okay.
Yes, this is it.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thanks, Heather, for saying that. Guys, like up the live. People see it when they get up in the morning, and they, you know, and share. You know, I tell you. But man, I would love somebody to caption this here with Abrams here. What is he thinking? But let's just close. Let's close. It's 10:07. Dave, you have the songs there.
I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. Good at maths nor English. English. Pretending to be good. I pretending to be good, just pretending to be good. I pretending to be good. I just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending, and I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
Where's the next song?
Promise us a better tomorrow. Tell me that the suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me a take the vote and let me down. Barbados is too small for me. My pocket full now, you and job they promise me. And a girl like me want power and more money. You cry transparency, but that's a no for me. Promise us a better tomorrow. Tell me that the suffering done. Me a take the vote and let me down. Me attack the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me attack the vote and let me down. Me attack the vote and let me down.
All righty, guys. Good night. Good night to everybody. We had a wonderful night tonight. On Friday night, we're going to have our Ugandan is going on. Shirura is going to be on, and he will continue what he was speaking about leadership in Africa and the African diaspora. All right. So he's going to talk about governance and education, colonial education, and its impact on Black leadership throughout the world. Okay, so it's going to be quite exciting. He will start off the show, and then we're going to be, going into our other panelists, etc. Will be on, and so here we are promoting our Roadside Parliament. That's coming up. All right, guys. Good night and. Enjoy. Bye-bye.